Good evening, Patriots, and welcome to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi, broadcasting live from just outside Chicago to millions worldwide on YouTube, Rumble, and X. This is where the real news happens, unfiltered, uncompromised, and unapologetic. Tonight, we are on day 79 of President Trump's historic reclamation of the White House, and the globalists are in full panic mode. Their worst nightmare is unfolding right before their eyes. An America First agenda that's actually working. Listen, folks. We're fighting an information war. The algorithms are suppressing content like ours, so I need you to share this stream right now. Text a link to your family, your friends, and patriots that you know who need to hear the truth. It's the only way to bypass big tech censorship. For those just joining us, we've got a feature that sets us apart from the legacy media. We interact with you, our viewers, in real time through the live chat. Your voice matters here, and we'll be reading your super chats and rumble rants between segments, featuring them on screen for the world to see. Remember, super chats get priority, so make yourselves heard. Now, tonight's lineup is explosive. We're tracking Trump's massive tariff bomb dropping on China, the mysterious disappearance of the Epstein files as whistleblowers come forward, DOGE's exposure of deep state surveillance, social security scams benefiting illegals, and the implosion of the fake hands-off protests, and Trump's executive order revitalizing American coal against the globalist energy agenda. But here's the truth. We can't keep bringing you this coverage without your support. The mainstream media has corporate backers, but we've got you. So if you value what we do, please consider making a donation through the links in the description. Every dollar helps us battle the narrative control machine. And don't forget, we have launched our channel memberships with special acknowledgement in the chat room and exclusive access to the Next News team. And you also have access to behind-the-scenes footage as a member and our 24/7 Discord chat room, exclusive to members only. We've also got our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, where you can get limited edition Next News swag to show off your favorite news source. So buckle up, Patriots. The Raw Feed starts now. Let's welcome you to the show. Lizette Taylor in Central Florida. Pothead Kenny in the house. Bless Mess. Grand Mac is in the house. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, this isn't a surprise. We got Gianne. We've got TM1776, Captain Caveman in the house. Yes, hit the like button. David R., David McConnell, Glenn Pillar, Kevin Mahoney. What's up, Mahoney in St. Petersburg? We got Lee Stanton, Freedom Nugget 74. We've got Sure You in the house. We've got David Woods, Dino Mike, James and Janine Stanley. What's up? Just Real in the house. Villain is here. We got Deb Noble, Blessed Mess, and we've got Larry Miller, The Truth Will Set You Free, Seven Cities Kid. We've got Jay Demeter, Tori Braun, David McConnell, Karen C. We've got Faith Keeling. We've got Maria Gomes, Louis Seeley. We've got Villain in Fort Lauderdale in the house. Elizabeth Jimenez from Texas. We got Anna, Toledo Jess, Faith Keeling, Savage Grammy. What's up? If you change the intro, Born to be Bad is a good choice. Who else is here? We got Beverly and Melchizedek is here. What's up? Erica Cook, Powder River, Beth Wayman, LW in Kansas, Adrian F, Ollie Gray the third. We got Irish Russ, Beverly Harwood. We've got Toki Goat in Denver. We got Richard. What's up? Yes, it's me. We got Jarrett Haynes, Eliz0891. We got Kaylin Therakeld is in here from Oklahoma. Not Guy, Sherilyn, Servicing IQ, Linda. We got Jeffrey, Judith, and Dan Davis have shown up tonight. Edwin, Resto Guy, and Bella Stubblefield, Villain, DRM, Broken Prophet, Team 6 Watch is here. William D, Deb Noble, Kaylin Delkilled, Irish Russ, and Critical Thinking. It's great to see everybody in the house tonight. We've got a lot of news to get to, so why waste anyone else's time? I know you guys, you got to sit through the intro, and some of you complain about it, but that's the way it is. That's my intro. It's my show. That's how we do it here. Okay, let's roll. Ladies and gentlemen, the deep state thought they'd seen the last of Donald Trump. They celebrated when they stole the 2020 election. They mocked his comeback. They arrested him. And now they're watching in absolute horror as he dismantles their system brick by brick. This isn't politics as usual. This is the complete reconstruction of what America can be. In one single day, Trump called for abolishing the income tax, secured another Supreme Court victory, and watched as 21 states locked arms behind his budget framework. Meanwhile, nearly 70 countries are begging to negotiate new trade deals after Trump's Liberation Day announcement, which featured yours truly, by the way. Even CNN had to admit, he ain't no lame duck. He's a soaring eagle. Don't you love it? And as we step into 2025, one thing is clear. De-dollarization's not stopping. It's accelerating. China and other BRICS nations are scared of President Trump, and it's making them more determined to reduce their dependence on the U.S. dollar and establish themselves as global economic superpowers. Well, what is their secret weapon? Well, it's gold. In fact, China resumed buying gold, and you know what's even more telling? They underreport their buys. Doesn't it make you wonder why? They recognize its global value and ability to withstand economic shocks. Gold is a global asset with innate value. It's tangible, it's reliable, and immune to economic manipulation. China and other BRICS countries, they want to be prepared. They just don't want it known. It's not just about nations, it's about you. So visit nextnewsgold.com. It's linked down below to learn more and find out how you can get 10 free silver coins. Also, the number on the screen, 877-646-5347. Make sure when you call, tell them Next News Network sent you. All right, Scott Bessent on fire, as usual, talking about the remarkable unity that Donald Trump is presenting with the Republican leaders. Check this out.
Joe, what I will tell you is I along with NEC Chair Hassett, have the pen for the administration. We're in contact with President Trump. We have seen remarkable unity led by the president with the Republican leaders, with Leader Thune, Speaker Johnson, Senator Crowe, and Chairman Jason Smith on this bill, and it's moving very quickly. So I think the underreported story here is the Republican unity that President Trump has. I think we will see the shapes and contours of the bill in the coming weeks and days, but I have been very impressed by how quickly this is moving forward, and this will be the certainty on this. You know, if we go back, everyone wants to talk about, oh, the tariffs are causing uncertainty. Thing I can tell you is getting this tax bill done quickly will give industry and American households incredible certainty.
Because you can actually set your clock to it, unlike the Joe Biden administration, where we never knew what was coming next. And then we have this Attorney General Andrew Bailey in Missouri, leading a 21-state coalition and backing President Trump's support for the Senate amendment to the House budget resolution. It's time for Congress to stand with the American people and fight for secure borders, energy independence, and fiscal sanity. Promises made, promises kept. Here's the document. Here are the receipts. Andrew Bailey on fire, supporting President Trump, leading a 21-state coalition. Where are the rest of the states is the bigger question. And the press secretary on fire today in the press room. Here's what she had to say about Republican lawmakers.
The president will be meeting with Republican lawmakers today here at the White House to talk to them about the framework that the Senate passed. The president was very quick to put out a statement about his support for the reconciliation package that the Senate passed, and he is counting on House Republicans to pass it. The Republicans received an overwhelming mandate from the American public to govern. We have an extraordinary opportunity. There are key promises that the president made to the American people in this bill. Tax cuts, securing the border, deregulation, unleashing the might of American energy. These are good things for the American people. The president wants to see this get done, and that's why he's engaging with lawmakers today.
Engaging with lawmakers is what you got to do, and President Trump, if there's anyone that can bring people together, it's him. We've got this, too. Check this out. Since the Liberation Day announcement, check this out. This is what the press secretary had to say. 70 nations.
Practices in total, since the Liberation Day announcement, nearly 70 countries have already reached out to the president to begin a negotiation.
70 nations. Why? It's because they've been screwing us for decades. And now they know the party is over and their tariffs on our goods aren't going to fly anymore. Yeah, reciprocal tariffs are going to have a massive effect, and it's already working. 70 nations bowing before the United States because we bow to no one.
Countries are falling over themselves to reform their unfair trade practices and free open their markets to our...
They're falling over themselves. Oh, my goodness. I love this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but let's go back. Here we go.
The president to begin a negotiation. Countries are falling over themselves to reform their unfair trade practices and free open their markets to our country. Why? Because these countries greatly respect President Trump in the sheer power of the American market. These countries realize they've gotten filthy rich over the past few decades by imposing substantial tariffs on American-made products and ridiculous non-monetary barriers to block out American industry. The jig is up. Past American presidents sat by and let this happen, but President Trump stood up for our country, and he is saying no more. The president's message has been simple and consistent from the beginning. To countries around the world, bring us your best offers, and he will listen. Deals will only be made if they benefit American workers and address our nation's crippling trade deficits. America does not need other countries as much as other countries need us, and President Trump knows this. He's going to use the leverage of our markets and our country to the advantage of the people he was sworn in to represent. On the other hand, countries like China, who have chosen to retaliate and try to double down on their mistreatment of American workers, are making a mistake. President Trump has a spine of steel, and he will not break, and America will not break under his leadership. He is guided by a firm belief that America must be able to produce essential goods for our own people and export them to the rest of the world. A strong America cannot be solely dependent on foreign countries for our food, medicines, and critical minerals. And America must always maintain a robust defense supply chain. Reprioritizing and strengthening our manufacturing industry are essential national and economic security issues of the utmost importance to President Trump. In total...
China. What do they say? You mess with the bull, you get the horns. Buckle up, China. Here is the press secretary again today on the president's thoughts.
From the severe storm, the president's thoughts also remain with the families and communities experiencing devastating loss from the severe storms and flooding affected several states across the central U.S. President Trump approved emergency declarations for Arkansas, Kentucky, and Tennessee, allowing FEMA to provide federal assistance like equipment and resources to support state and local emergency response officials who are leading this response on the ground.
And you know what? Remember all the national disasters we had under Biden? States screaming for help, issuing emergency declarations, begging FEMA. Where was Joe? Wouldn't even pick up the phone. Donald Trump, boom! Let's go. Already signing the order to help. Let's keep going. Okay, so everyone's screaming about, oh my goodness, the tariff, stock market's down. Well, guess what? It all came back today. It all came back. Stock market's going up because business trusts President Trump's plan. Let's check in with Scott Jennings in the lion's den at CNN.
Different here. We think, well, I tend to just listen to the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, who was on television late this afternoon talking about now there's 70 plus countries that are calling up, wanting to discuss how we're going to deal with them in the future. And what I really hope that they wind up doing with those 70 plus countries, and it'll probably be more by tomorrow, is this. Like, listen, you need to understand, we're trying to do something different here. We think we've been taken advantage of, and we're responding to the working class of this country. If you will help us, if you will understand that we can have a fairer system here that's fair to the United States, we can align ourselves against the true enemy, which is China. And if you want to get in bed with China and think they're a trustworthy partner, that is a complete, ridiculous, stupid, terrible idea. Stick with us, be fair to us, and stick with us, and we'll align ourselves against China because they cannot be trusted.
Why should... Well, I mean, just call Hunter Biden, right? He's got friends in China. Okay, let's keep going. We've got more. SCOTUS just ruled in Trump's favor again. They blocked a lower court ruling that ordered the administration to rehire 16,000 federal employees, a massive win for President Trump. And here's Dana Bash being forced to report on it
So,
at CNN.
We start, though, with breaking news at the Supreme Court. It just handed President Trump another win, allowing his administration to fire hundreds of probationary federal workers. I want to get straight to Paula Reed, who was looking through the decision. Paula, what did they say?
So, Dana, this is a significant win for the administration. The fourth one they have notched from the Supreme Court in just the past few days. Here, this decision is focused on thousands of fired probationary federal workers. Now, this decision will allow the government to keep those individuals off the payroll, while the larger questions about these firings are litigated. Now, this was decided not on a constitutional issue or really on the merits. It was decided on something called standing, which is whether the individuals who brought this lawsuit had the right to do so. And here the court says that the 9 nonprofit organizations did not have standing in this case. So
9 nonprofit organizations? They brought suit? I wonder how much USAID money they were getting.
Again, this is sort of a technical win, but it is still a win for the administration, though it's unclear how this will apply to all fired probationary workers, because a separate judge in Maryland earlier this month ordered a pause and a reinstatement of some employees that are not covered by this case. But I do want to say, Dana, the Justice Department, the Trump administration, they've been waiting for a while for good news from the courts after a string of lawsuits, and they have been getting a lot of good news from the High Court over the past few days.
Okay, Paula, stand by, because I do want to come back to you in a short while about other...
Oh, poor Dana Bash being forced to report the good news for the Trump administration. Let's keep going. We got some more wins. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise on this new tax bill, urging his colleagues to move as quickly as possible. Here's Fox Business Steve Scalise.
Look, I've been urging my colleagues in the House to move on this bill as quickly as possible for a lot of reasons. Yeah. One is to get the economy booming. There is a lot of pent up, and you probably talk to people like I do that say there's trillions of dollars sitting on the sidelines waiting to see if there's going to be tax certainty. Because if there's a $4.5 trillion tax hike, meaning if Congress does nothing, that's the kind of taxes that go up on every American. Nobody would be immune from it, and it would crush the economy. Yeah. So we need to get this tax bill in place to give not only certainty to the economy, but to bring that investment back in and get real economic growth. Look,
that's what we need, economic growth. Here is Rapid Response 47. President Trump had a phone call with the president of South Korea talking about their tremendous unsustainable surplus. Tariffs, shipbuilding, large-scale purchase of U.S. LNG, their joint venture in Alaska pipeline, payment for the big-time military protection we provide South Korea. They began these military payments during my first term, billions of dollars, but sleepy Joe Biden, for reasons unknown, terminated the deal. President Trump on Truth Social continues. That was a shocker to all. In any event, we have the confines and probability of a great deal for both countries. Their top team is on a plane heading to the U.S., and things are looking good. We are likewise dealing with many other countries, all of whom want to make a deal with the United States. Like with South Korea, we're bringing up other subjects that are not covered by trade and tariffs and getting them negotiated. Also, one-stop shopping is a beautiful and efficient process. China also wants to make a deal badly, but they don't know how to get it started. Call Hunter Biden. He's the guy. He's got all the friends in China. I kid. Trump continues. We are waiting for their call. It will happen. God bless the USA. We've also got Byron Donalds talking about the message is clear.
Paying job. I will say that while China might be saber rattling, there are a lot of other nations who are coming to the table. And look, I think the message is pretty clear at this point. If you want to come to the table and negotiate the future of trade with the United States, then I think the president and his team are definitely open to do that. But if you want to retaliate and saber rattle, then the president is more than willing to continue go down the road of tariff policy. And the reason why is very simple. For decades, many countries were building their economies on the back of the American economy. And it worked well about 30, 40 years ago when we had cheaper goods in the United States. But when the actual wealth creation process in our country was moving overseas, you have less jobs, you have less high-paying jobs, and you have other countries countries getting rich while Americans are trying to basically tread water. You couple that with the fact that we've had too many people on Capitol Hill overspending, creating inflation, decreasing the purchasing power of our dollar here in the United States, and it's not the recipe for consistent economic growth. So in short, if you want to come to the table and negotiate like many countries are doing right now, the president and his team are open for business and they're willing to talk.
Open for business. America is open for business. Under Joe Biden, nobody knew what the hell was going on. And finally, we have a deal maker in chief negotiating with 70 nations to open up their markets to American goods. Get ready. It is going to be an American golden age like we've never seen before. Let's keep going. Byron Donalds, nailing it there. We got Tom Emmer posting this. If Congress allows the 2017 Trump tax cuts to expire, the American people will face the largest tax increase in history.
Maria,
I think that we've got a good chance at this.
The tax bill that was passed and signed into law back in December of 2017, commonly referred to as the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, Maria, that bill actually benefited every American who made $10,000 or more. It is imperative that this get established as a permanent tax code here in the United States so that everyone can get that benefit. If we don't, we're going to look at a $4 to $5 trillion tax increase. So that's the challenge that our members are faced with who are having this discussion about do you pay for them? Are you just continuing current policy, et cetera? At the end of the day, this is preventing the largest tax increase in the history of this country.
So why is it even a discussion? Why does it even have to be debated? Let's just keep Trump's tax cuts in place and ride the wave, folks. I don't even know why it's up for debate. But I guess that's how the House of Representatives has to work. They have to go back and forth, blah, 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 blah. Here's CNN's Harry Enton. I love this guy. On President Trump's historic effort to make America great again. I love these clips because it's like CNN, like being forced to swallow the truth.
Point in a president. I think there was this concern among some folks that Donald Trump would come in for a second term and kind of be a lame duck. He ain't no lame duck. If anything, he's a soaring eagle. What am I talking about here? Let's talk about Trump executive orders in 2025. He's already signed 111 so far. That is the most at this point in a presidency in at least 100 years. In fact, it's the most in any single year, and we're only in April, since Harry S. Truman in the early 1950s. The bottom line is whether you like Trump or you don't like him, you can't say that he's come in and not try to deliver on what he at least believes was his promises on the campaign trail, and he's doing so in historic fashion.
How are people reacting to and feel about Trump's approach?
Yeah, okay. So Trump's approach here, what are we talking about? Trump's approach to presidential power. I think the American people recognize what he's doing here is completely different. We're talking, get this, 86% of the American public believes that Trump's approach to presidential power is completely different from past presidents, compared to only 14% who believe it is in line with precedent. And we're talking about at least 79% of Democrats, independents, and Republicans. So again, you can agree or you can disagree with Donald Trump, but what you can't disagree with is that he's doing things very differently. I have used the Frank Sinatra quote before. He is doing it, quote unquote, my way, and that is what Donald Trump has done throughout both of his presidential terms, and he's certainly doing that, Kate Baldwin, in term number 2.
So
I think
he's actually doing it the American way, buddy. Let's get it clear. Let's keep going. This is my president right here. What's this about?
First of all, it's spin. I think I'm going to stand. This chair is the most uncomfortable chair I've ever. First of all, it spins. And the one thing I don't want is to fall on my ass, because that's going to be, that will be the only story. They'll say, sir, you did great. Too bad you fell. That would be the only story. So I'm not sitting in that sucker. I think it's a booby trap. That was put there by Kamala. Oh, my.
Oh, yeah, you got to love him. You got to love him. Here's President Trump. He wasn't joking. He called for Congress to abolish the income tax, baby. Let's go.
1870, America is going to be very rich again, and it's going to happen very quickly. It's time for the United States to return to the system that made us richer and more powerful than ever before. Do you know the United States in 1870 to 1913, all tariffs, and that was the richest period in the history of the United States, relatively speaking. In other words, relatively. And they set up the Great Tariff Commission of 1887, and this commission had one function: what to do with all the money that we took in. It was so enormous that they had no idea. It was a blue ribbon committee. It was set up 1887, and what to do with all of the money that we had. And again, Teddy Roosevelt was a beneficiary, because when McKinley was killed, he took over this vast sum of money, and he did all of those national parks and all of the other things. And I'm not knocking him, but he was given a vast amount of money. And that was all made through tariffs. We had no income tax. The income tax came in 1913. As I said in my speech last week, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Does that make sense, right? America is going to be very rich.
Get rid of the income tax. It's long overdue. Let's get that External Revenue Service kicked in. So the evidence is undeniable, folks. President Trump isn't just winning. He's rewriting America's future at a pace that has the establishment in absolute panic. So think about what we're witnessing. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise confirmed that trillions of dollars are sitting on the sidelines waiting for Trump's tax cuts to be extended. Attorney General Andrew Bailey has rallied 21 states behind Trump's fiscal framework, and Supreme Court victories are stacking up faster than the media can spin them. It's not just politics, it's a generational realignment. So here's the question for you guys in the comments section. Are we witnessing the final days of the income tax system as we know it? Could Trump actually succeed where others have only talked about reforming the tax code? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and show your support for Trump's America First agenda with our exclusive Next News swag available in the merch shop linked down below. All right, let's keep going. Where are we at now? There were quite a few super chats we're going to get to. I tried to bring them up during the stream. Brian, just checking in with you, making sure you're doing okay over there. Melchizedek, $5. Thank you, sir. Dan Davis, $1.99. Keep up the good fight. Thank you, we will. And Jesse Beasley dropping $20. No comment necessary, and we thank you for that. We got Tony Leitner dropping $5, thanking us for another live show. Well, Tony, thank you for showing up. We got Curio23. The U.S. is still at war with North Korea, simply an armistice, so South Korea needs to pay us for the protection. Thank you for that fact. And then we have Patriot RV Life, $5, a super sticker of a character saying, "You rock," while showing their pumped bicep. What's up, baby? Let's go. We got more news to get to. Let's keep this party going. You guys are here for the live show, and I'm here for you. Let's rock and roll. Ladies and gentlemen, economic warfare has been declared, and President Trump just went nuclear on China. As we speak, unprecedented 104% tariffs are dropping on Chinese imports, the biggest trade counterpunch in American history. Beijing thought they could call Trump's bluff. Well, they miscalculated, and badly. The press secretary didn't mince words. She said, "When America is punched, President Trump punches back harder." That's right. No delays, no extensions, and no mercy. In Wall Street, well, it's surging. The Treasury Secretary has confirmed over 70 countries are scrambling to negotiate deals with the United States. Even Nancy Pelosi's own words from 1996 are coming back to haunt her, as she once begged for exactly the tariffs Trump is now delivering. This is economic shock and awe, folks, and I am here for it. Now, while President Trump is rebuilding America's manufacturing strength through tariffs, isn't it time to rebuild your body, too? Just like our economy needs protection from foreign exploitation, your skin needs defense against aging. A groundbreaking 2024 study showed that collagen dramatically improves skin health, reducing wrinkles and increasing firmness. But not all collagen is created equal, just like not all trade deals help America. Now, this multi-collagen formula features 5 essential types from 4 premium sources, absorbing faster for maximum results. While China scrambles under Trump's 104% tariffs, you can fight back against aging at healthwithgary.com. Get 51% off today, and that's a better deal than even China is getting. Now let's rock and roll. Here we have U.S. Trade Representative Ambassador Jamieson Greer's opening statement on President Trump's tariff policy. Let's listen.
Has been unfair on Chairman Crowe, Ranking Member Wyden, and members of the committee. I appreciate you taking the time today for this hearing. Last Wednesday, President Trump declared a national emergency in response to the large and persistent trade deficit that has built up in recent years. This deficit is driven in part by non-reciprocal tariffs, trading barriers, and other economic policies pursued by our foreign trading partners. The situation is urgent. President Trump imposed tariffs to address this emergency, and these measures are aimed squarely at achieving reciprocity and reducing our massive trade deficit to reshore production in the United States. This national emergency declaration and tariff action is the most significant change in U.S. trade policy since we allowed China to join the World Trade Organization. The American working class, in particular, has suffered concentrated losses from the so-called China shock and other adverse effects of past trade policy and the conditions that give rise to this massive trade deficit. You've heard some of these numbers before. The United States has lost 5 million manufacturing jobs and 90,000 factories since 1994. President Biden left with a $1.2 trillion trade deficit in goods, the largest of any country in the history of the world. The United States' share of world manufacturing output declined from 2001 to last year. In the fourth quarter of 2024, U.S. manufacturing as a share of gross domestic product was the lowest it had been in 20 years. During COVID, we were unable to procure semiconductors to build our cars or materials for pharmaceuticals and personal protective equipment. During World War II, we built nearly 9,000 ships. Last year, the United States built only 3 ocean-going vessels. Our agricultural trade balance, which historically resulted in trade surpluses for our farmers, was in deficit the last 2 years of the Biden administration and likely will take some time to recover. These are all serious indicators of an economic and national security emergency, and we can't ignore it. One important driver of these negative trends has been unfair, unbalanced, and non-reciprocal trade. This includes the effect of higher tariffs imposed by other countries on the United States, the effect of non-tariff measures that promote other countries' exports and obstruct U.S. exports, and other foreign economic policies favoring overproduction and degrading America's manufacturing capacity.
Well, that party is over, folks. Here's the press secretary highlighting Nancy Pelosi's own words on our unsustainable trade deficits.
At this president, I do just want to point out one thing, that the president, everybody in Washington, whether they want to admit it or not, knows that this president is right when it comes to tariffs and when it comes to trade. In fact, Democrats have long said that the United States of America has been ripped off by the countries around the world. They just don't want to admit it now because it's President Trump who is saying that. In June of 1996, Nancy Pelosi spoke on the House floor. She urged her colleagues at the time to fight against the status quo trade policies that had contributed to America's trade deficit with China. In fact, Nancy Pelosi said, how far does China have to go? How much more repression? How big a trade deficit? How many jobs have to be lost for the American workers? How much dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, I will not endorse the status quo? Those are the words of Nancy Pelosi in 1996. Well, President Trump is finally answering her call 27 years later. Wow. Nancy Pelosi can thank President Trump today for the 104% retaliatory tariff that will be going into effect on China. In 2007, Chuck Schumer spoke of our nation's crippling trade deficit, saying these are the kinds of records the American people don't want us to be breaking. The administration needs to move beyond words, take action now to reverse a trend that threatens our prospects for future economic growth. And Chuck Schumer said that in 2007. Finally, in 2025, President Trump is taking action. Recently defeated Democrat Sherrod Brown said on deficits in 2012 that our deficit then at China had reached an all-time high, and it was on pace to recede last year's record. The trade deficit had cost American workers millions of jobs at the time. These are the words of Democrats years ago It is about time America finally has a president who is taking action to restore those millions of jobs back to the United States of America, to boost our manufacturing industry. He's doing what's right for the American people. It will take a lot of labor. It will take a lot of effort. But that's exactly what the American people elected this president to do.
And I think we got to fact check the press secretary here. Oh, wait, here it is. 1996, Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, how much more repression? How big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker, and how much more dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, I will not endorse the status quo.
Wow.
As I mentioned, it's about jobs, proliferation, and human rights. And there are those who say we shouldn't link human rights and trade and proliferation and trade. I disagree. But if we just want to take up this issue on the basis of economics alone, indeed, China should not receive most favored nation status for several reasons that I'd like to go into now. I'd like to.
We'll save it, Pelosi. We've already got the facts. Here is the press secretary responding to a question in the press room today.
About tariff. You mentioned the 70 countries or so. I'm curious, though, under what conditions at this point would President Trump talk to President Xi about tariffs?
Look, I just spoke to the president about this, and he believes that China wants to make a deal with the United States. He believes China has to make a deal with the United States. It was a mistake for China to retaliate. The president, when America is punched, he punches back harder. That's why there will be 104% tariffs going into effect on China tonight at midnight. But the president believes that Xi and China want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get that started. And the president also wanted me to tell all of you that if China reaches out to make a deal, he'll be incredibly gracious, but he's going to do what's best for the American people.
Yeah, let's go. Midnight tonight is when it all goes down. Here's more from the press secretary on the reciprocal tariff rates.
Countries have been. You just said that one of the reasons the tariffs are going into effect is that some countries have been ripping off the United States, but some of the tariffs target countries like Madagascar, Bangladesh, with very high levels of poverty. So can you explain how the president wants to correct the deficit with those countries? Is there a plan, for example, to onshore the textile industry that these countries are known because, and, you know, just like, can you be specific about those, like, low income?
Sure. Well, first of all, the reciprocal tariff rates that were implemented by country were focused on the monetary tariff that those countries have imposed on the United States, but also the non-monetary tariff barriers and the regulations, if you will, that have been put into effect over the years, making it harder for America to export to these countries. These were very carefully crafted numbers. There was also a 10% baseline tariff across the board, as well, as you know. Moving forward, the president will talk to any country that picks up the phone to call, and I can tell you the phones have been ringing off the hook, wanting to talk to this administration, this president, and his trade team to try to strike a deal. And it's because the world knows that they need the United States of America. They need our markets. They need our consumer. The president has a lot of leverage on his side because he has the best economy and the best country in the world that he leads, and he knows that. And it's about dang time we finally have a president who uses that economic leverage to benefit American workers. And that's
baby, let's go. Let's benefit America. When Trump punches, when America's punched, President Trump punches back harder. I love it. Here we have, let's see, we have this from the press secretary. Trump is not considering an extension.
Said he's not considering. The president was asked and answered this yesterday. He said he's not considering an extension or a delay. I spoke to him before this briefing. That was not his mindset. He expects that these tariffs are going to go into effect. And you said something very important, Elena, in your question. You said the president has captivated the attention of the world. Absolutely, he has. And it's about time we have a president in the Oval Office who is putting the world on notice and is putting the American people first, and again, is using the leverage of the United States to negotiate good trade deals.
The world is on notice. Here we have more. The press secretary the president is willing to pick up the phone and talk.
Has faced as the president said yesterday, Jasmine, both things can be true at the same time. And it is a non-negotiable position that the United States has faced a national security and economic crisis because of the unfair trade practices by countries around the world. As for the president, I have maintained this position. The entire administration has always said that President Trump is willing to pick up the phone and talk. And the president met with his trade team this morning, and he directed them to have tailor-made trade deals with each and every country that calls up this administration to strike a deal. And listen, and each and every one of these trade deals should be tailored and unique based on that country's markets, based on that country's exports, the imports here in the United States of America. What makes the most sense for the American worker and for our industry? The president is focused on putting America first.
And that's all that should matter. That's all. Let's keep going. We have more. This is from Lindell TV. President Trump inherited a fake economy built on smoke and mirrors. In a powerful breakdown, financial analyst Ed Dowd says the stock market Trump walked into was a fraudulent bubble propped up by just 7 stocks, inflated housing prices, and phony GDP numbers. Check this out.
And the risk, the stock market that Trump inherited was at all-time valuations. It was a joke. It was a joke stock market driven by 7 stocks. We wrote in January and then subsequently in a free news piece on our website about stock market valuations versus bonds. And statistically, all you had to do was look at the valuations and the risk-adjusted returns of bonds versus stocks, and you were going to lose money over the next 10 years if you bought at the top. And a lot of people did. And so now this is what we have. We have a lot of confusion, a lot of people screaming, wringing their hands. I saw a lot of people in our camp losing their minds. I guess their 401k came down, especially these young people screaming about their 401k. You can't touch it for 20 years anyways. So this is just a much ado about nothing. And I said this on Steve Bannon's show on Friday afternoon, the exact thing I'm telling you. Scott Bessent, who I don't know, I don't talk to, said exactly the same thing, that the AI bubble burst and that the stock market was already coming down. There were margin calls coming. This just accelerated it. And now we're going to get a relief rally. Unfortunately, Trump inherited a fraudulent economy that was propping up the housing market. We're going to get a housing recession. And ultimately, we think the stock market goes down 50% sometime, by the end of this year, early next. And that's just the way it is. There's nothing that can be done about it. It's endogenous to the economy. It was floated. The housing prices were floated by illegal aliens renting up and putting pressure on rents.
Wow.
Yeah. And look, as far as the messaging issue, I think they could have done a little bit better. But here's the thing. I don't think they had much media that would even really let them message, because everybody has been indoctrinated with bad so long, especially in conservative circles, right? So they had a hard time, I think, getting people to go out there and message that. They're obviously committed to the tariffs. We don't see them backing off. Bessent said he didn't care about the stock market at all. I think that scared a lot of your, people you used to hang out with, that they just don't care if the stock market drops. How long were the tariffs absolutely necessary to fix our economy? I mean, it's been propped up on smoke and mirrors for so long. Were they absolutely necessary? And then how long will it take for Trump to really kind of get our economy into a real economy, right? To course correct the decades long of bad policies and printing money.
Look, this is something needed to be done. We couldn't continue the way we were continuing because we would have a revolution. The real economy has been a disaster for middle-class America. The stock market was being fueled and pumped by 7 stocks that were benefiting from government spending and illegal aliens painting fake GDP numbers and payroll numbers.
Wow.
That all Trump was elected to reverse all those policies. The stock market.
So the bubble has officially burst. Joe Biden's fake stock market is now resetting. Here's Marlin Steel CEO Drew Greenblatt. Our goal is that we're going to hire many more people. Check this out.
So we have to hire many more. We absolutely have had a couple people anxious about the stock market. But again, our goal is that we're going to sell millions more dollars, so we have to hire many more people. If we do that, we're going to hire them at very good jobs, very good pay, wonderful benefits with the 401k match. True, there's some companies that have been buying T-shirts from Vietnam and China, and they're going to have to pay a couple more bucks for a T-shirt. And then the American consumer is going to have to pay more for a T-shirt. That's obviously not pleasant for those American consumers. But I think there's going to be an overwhelming surge of hiring in America as things level out, as American factories ramp up and people have to hire talent, buy machines. We've invested money in buying new machines because we're so enthusiastic, so optimistic about the future. That's going to start happening throughout the nation, and people are going to be leaning into the future. This is a very exciting time for the American manufacturing worker. We're going to be able to pull people from poverty into the middle class that used to not have an avenue. They had no shot at getting into the middle class. We're going to be able to offer them a shot.
I mean, what he's saying is 100% true. But I think what's funny is watching Turd Tapper there on screen, you can see him screaming inside because he's rooting for the destruction of this country. That's a fact. That's what they do at CNN. And he's in the messaging that's being presented on the channel at that moment in this clip, completely the opposite. American industry is raging back. Let's keep going. China says it will not bow at Krasenstein. China says it will not bow to Trump's latest tariff threats of 50% in additional tariffs that will go into effect on April 9th. This means Trump plans to increase China's tariffs to 104. Remember, 70% of the products you buy on Amazon are sourced from China. Okay, Ed, thanks for that. Let's keep going. Here's Bunger Sargon. What POTUS is doing is he went out there on behalf of those destroyed working class communities.
Democracy. You know, back in the 1970s, the largest share of the wealth in this country was held by the middle class. That is how you have a stable democracy. That is how you have prosperity for all. That is the idea that this country was founded on, that if you work hard, you should have access to the American dream. And that was inextricably linked to the fact that 25% of the economy was in manufacturing. It was the largest share of the economy. Manufacturing pays good jobs, good wages, good conditions, where people who work really hard can expect to own a home and retire in dignity. And what happened between then and now was that our economy became an upward funnel of wealth into the pockets of the elites. Today, the largest share of the economy is in finance and real estate. And that middle class has been totally squeezed to where working class Americans, the hardest working Americans, can no longer expect to be able to afford the American dream despite working so hard. And what Donald Trump is doing is he went out there, and on behalf of those destroyed working class communities, he has taken on the entire international global order. He is waging war on behalf of the forgotten men and women of the heartland of this country and saying no longer will they be downwardly mobile and committing suicide and dying of fentanyl overdoses because they've been left out of the immense prosperity that this country has generated. That's the whole story right there.
Wow. Well said. Well said. That's what's happening right now. Here is the U.S. stock market all in the green today. Yep. Where's the media on that one? Here we have more from CNN's Scott Jennings after Trump's comments in the Oval Office on tariffs.
Now, it does seem to me this president has been trying to lay at Joe Biden's feet various economic problems that he inherited. Fine. Fair. Now, it does seem to me that one way or the other, this is Donald Trump's economy now. He can, if the manufacturing comes back, he can get credit for that later. But if we don't bounce back from this, if we end up in a depression, that's on Donald Trump too.
Well, yeah, this is his plan. He's been talking about tariffs for a very long time. He believes in it. And right now, according to the Treasury Secretary, we have over 50 countries who've already come to the table and want to engage with the United States and talk about how we can have a more fair free trade relationship with them. That's a good thing, number one. Number two, this is only part of the deal. The other part of the deal is making the tax cuts permanent, and maybe even, if I were them, cut the capital gains tax and offer to slash the corporate tax rate and see if you can get any Democrats to join, because I'm amused by the Democrats who are all of a sudden free traders and for lower taxes. Well, if you've got Democrats who'd like to reduce the taxation on corporate activity, well, let's see how serious they are. Cut capital gains, slash the corporate income tax rate. I find it amusing that everybody talks about the 08 crash and the COVID. No one ever mentions that in 2022, the S&P was down 20, the NASDAQ was down 33, and I don't remember any of these Democrats being in hysterics when the market fully crashed in 2022. So I think Republicans are content
Well, what
to
would
let
you
the president.
ascribe the reason for that happening to?
I assume it was some combination of terrible fiscal policy and lack of confidence in the president. And so,
I mean, they're sometimes related, but in this case, this was a very specific action with a very specific reaction.
And the market was flat today.
I do. In the end, it was. You're right about that. But man, was it a roller coaster of a ride. Let's
down 400 points. That's not flat.
Did you see the percentages? I assume you can calculate percentages. I mean, 0.91, 0.10, 0.23. We're not talking about.
And there
massive
was a
swing
split decision. We should note the NASDAQ is slightly in the green.
One thing we should note, the NASDAQ is slightly in the green. Yep, and there it is. There's the picture. There's the green. So the global economic chessboard's being completely reset tonight, Patriots, as U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer pointed out. When Trump imposed tariffs during his first term, inflation actually went down. So much for the economists who claim this would hurt American consumers, right? Now look what's happening. Businesses are expanding, factories are reopening, and for the first time in decades, America is dictating trade terms instead of begging for them. The CEO of Marlin Steel just announced that they're hiring more workers with very good pay, wonderful benefits, 401k matching. This is what America First looks like in action. So here is the question that we need to be asking, and you can comment below. How many American jobs were sacrificed on the altar of cheap Chinese goods over the last 30 years? Who benefited from that sacrifice? Comment below with your thoughts. And get your next news gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and show your support for The Real News. It's linked below. Rock and roll, baby. Rock and roll. And looks like we got Jennifer dropping $1.99. Trump rocks. Yes, he does. Thank you. We're at $43.97. No new members today. That's weird. Okay, we got more news. And we'll check in on the main chat real quick, see what you're all chatting about. Hope you guys are behaving. Corn Pop, where? Where's Corn Pop? What happened to American-made TVs? Well, I have it on a good source. Just told me something really, really, really big is about to happen with American-made TVs. Yes. Just wait for that. I can't say anything else. Okay, Hunter's all tied up. Where's Hunter? Where is Hunter right now? All right, let's keep going. We got some more news to jump to. And Karen Myron just gifted one Next News Network membership. Thank you, Karen, for giving that gift. But what's going on with the Epstein tapes? Let's find out what's happening. We got some information that everybody needs to hear about. Let's go. Let's find out here. Okay. Okay. America's most explosive scandal is being erased in real time, and almost nobody is covering it. According to whistleblower testimony, the FBI is actively deleting files related to Jeffrey Epstein's client list, permanently wiping servers of evidence that could expose the most powerful people in the world. Let that sink in. The agency meant to investigate crimes is allegedly destroying evidence of the biggest trafficking network in modern history. Meanwhile, Virginia Giuffre, Epstein's key accuser, was mysteriously struck by a vehicle and now claims she has days to live with kidney failure. Attorney General Pam Bondi, who promised that the list was on her desk weeks ago, pretty much gone silent. And the former Congressman Matt Gaetz is demanding answers, while Representative Luna reports being stonewalled by the DOJ. This isn't politics, folks. This is obstruction. And the Epstein cover-up shows how the powerful protect their secrets, but there is a secret that Chuck Norris is not afraid to share. While elite figures scramble to hide evidence, Chuck is openly revealing what keeps him fighting fit at 84. Just like whistleblowers exposing truth despite threats, Chuck is exposing the truth about aging. And while Virginia Guffrey mysteriously falls ill and files disappear, Chuck's health secret remains bulletproof, allowing him to work out longer and maintain more energy than men half his age. He's discovered how to neutralize the 3 things sabotaging our body as we age. Learn Chuck's method before this video disappears too at chuckdefense.com/next, linked down below. So, as you know, I really wanted Matt Gaetz to stick around in Congress and keep kicking ass like he does. But now he has a show on One America News. And this clip came across my desk today. He posted this just a couple hours ago, asking what happened to the Epstein files. Well, Representative Luna isn't getting any answers, and she was on his show. Now, remember, she was one who was tasked with getting all this information: the JFK files, MLK files, RFK files, and the Epstein list, and more. But here's what's going on.
In fact, the one thing I've been very frustrated with, Matt, is that I have tried very hard to obtain the Jeffrey Epstein files. I have been contacting the Department of Justice. I've even chased down the FBI, and I keep getting the same thing. We are reviewing documents. I don't believe that the process has been as good as the JFK rollout and the MLK and the RFK rollout will be. And so I'm going to continue to put pressure on the DOJ to release that information. Look, there's bad people that haven't been charged for doing really horrible things with underage people. And frankly,
has the DOJ given you any timeline on that, Anna?
No. In fact, I haven't really gotten any communication from the DOJ. The one thing I've been very frustrated with.
No communication from the DOJ. Now, if you all remember, Jesse James posted this February 27th. I thought the Epstein list was going to be released to the public, not to paid social media influencers. This is not transparency. Oh, here's a meme for you. When you hear Kash Patel is releasing the Epstein list day 1. Well, we're still waiting, folks. And for everyone complaining about Pam Bondi, the Epstein list, you need to listen to Trump here. Trump says he's already done it. It's in the hands of his appointees, and that Pam Bondi is so tough, they just don't know it yet. President Trump trusts Pam Bondi. Let's listen to the words of the president.
Asking me that all the time. You're the people that are doing it. Very, very proud of all of you. Under the Trump administration, the DOJ and the FBI will once again become the premier crime-fighting agencies on the face of the earth. People ask me, what am I going to do about law enforcement all the time? The fake news back there, they're asking me that all the time. What am I going to do? And when are you going to do it? And I answer them by saying I've already done most of it by appointing the people that I've appointed. They're sitting right here. They've done most of it. I don't do it, they do it. Right, Pam? I think, oh, you are so tough, they just don't know yet. Let me begin by congratulating the incredible people who will lead these other people.
So we're still waiting. That's right, we are still waiting for that Epstein list. Well, it's Epstein files not released day again. Here's Kenneth Tuano just 3 hours ago. This is another nothing burger, just more talk from AG Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, with his signing up of Stephen Jensen, then FBI Dan Bongino. Maybe Geraldo will do a better job exposing the Epstein list. Seeing big-named arrests? Well, let's find out.
Incredible. And then the president on Thursday told us that there was an incredible discovery that the DOGE team had made. He called it horrible and incredible. Can you reveal that yet? Give us details on what it was about?
There has been a discovery. I hate to leave you hanging on a cliff, but I don't want to get ahead of the president on that. But I can confirm there has been a discovery. It's just not quite yet ready for release.
So they're calling that discovery from DOGE a nothing burger. But we're going to have to wait and find out exactly what that is. Of course, the secretary playing coy. But we're going to find out hopefully soon enough about this Epstein list. 7 hours ago, Marge Tour 999, still no Epstein client list, removal of income tax or spending cuts, but we're all of a sudden arguing with or about racists and racism again. Listen to this.
You know that you should be taking. You know in your mind and hearts of hearts that you're not doing the shit that you're supposed to do. You know you have an interest in personal protection. You know that it's fucking crazy out here. You know that you should be taking personal protection classes. You know that you should be taking understanding imminent threat classes. You know it. Internally, you already know this shit. But for some reason, you're just not doing it. So, I'm not going to coddle you. I'm just going to present the information. Every donor over $100, you're going to get all 3 of the classes. Civics, so you can...
Okay, thank you for that little sponsorship moment there. Let's keep going. Jeffrey Epstein, trafficking survivor Virginia Giuffre, magically hit by a bus before Epstein list is supposed to come out. Did you hear about this? Even RT posted this. Check this out. Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre says she's in kidney failure, 4 days to live after a car accident. Meanwhile, it's been 38 days since AG Pambani claimed Epstein client list was on her desk. Since then, silence. Listen to this.
Wouldn't it be crazy if Epstein victim and accuser of Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Jean-Luc Brunel, Bill Richardson, Virginia Giuffre, was just hit by a bus and has been given 4 days to live? And wouldn't it be crazy if this is Virginia in a picture taken with Prince Andrew and Miss Ghislaine Maxwell? Here's another picture of Virginia giving Bill Clinton a massage. She is also one of the people who can put Bill Clinton on Epstein Island. These were from the court documents which were released last year from 2017 in a lawsuit filed against Ghislaine Maxwell. And wouldn't it be crazy if those documents show that she was actually recruited while working at Mar-a-Lago? Yeah, here's her rendition of it. And wouldn't it be crazy if I were to suggest that that bus hitting her was no accident?
Yeah, that's not fake news, folks. That is not fake news. Here's Joe Rogan and Elon Musk talking about the client list. Where's the justice?
Well, I mean, why'd they release bullshit today?
I don't know.
What's the point in giving these people like a happy folder to wave around in front of the camera with nothing in it that's new? It doesn't make any sense. It's not encouraging.
Like I said, it's the tough thing that they've got is, you know, they've been made captain of a ship with a hostile crew.
Right.
So they don't have like, you know, it's not like you have like magical powers. You get made captain of a ship with a hostile crew, you still have a hostile crew.
Right.
You've got to bring in people who are going to, you know, be helpful as opposed to obstructionist.
Right.
But yeah, I think the public will be rightly frustrated if no one is prosecuted for the Epstein client list, no one at all, which, you know, no one, like at least, I don't know, the top 5 or something, like some number. There should at least be an attempted prosecution of the worst offenders.
Well, particularly if Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail for sex trafficking.
Yes.
Because, like, trafficking
that means sex
to
trafficking
who?
occurred.
Right. So she's in jail for it.
Yes.
So
who were the clients?
Yeah. Yeah, how do you put someone in jail and you don't even name the clients? That sounds kind of insane.
I think, yes, it would. Yes, because...
Just stunning that they've been able to hold it back for so long. It's really kind of amazing.
Yes.
Like when people say that people can't keep secrets, what the fuck are you talking about? Look at this.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of these things are not like... It's common knowledge, but we don't actually have the proof.
Right.
So the proof is there. I mean, there's lots of videos. Yeah, there's lots. I mean, the dude is like a mountain of like. Whenever they raided Epstein's place, there would have been like a mountain of evidence. Where is that mountain?
Right. What'd you do with it?
Yes. Like who took possession of the evidence?
Yeah.
Specifically.
Right.
The individuals.
Where are the tapes?
Yes.
How many levels of clearance do I have to get into the vault?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what we need are people who are really good with computers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And really good with technology.
I just remember seeing this photo.
That's when they raided his home?
They were.
That's when they on the island?
They were there then.
Yeah. They got everything, I'm sure.
I mean, there must have been so much stuff on that island.
There must have been. And if it wasn't there, where was it?
Yeah.
What, it has to be uploaded somewhere. There has to be some sort of a chain of evidence.
Yeah.
Or chain of custody.
It's got to be a mountain of evidence.
Yeah.
A mountain of evidence for sure. Now, here is Elon Musk again, talking about 3 names linked to the list.
That lawsuit was funded by Reid Hoffman, who is a major Dem donor. And also an Epstein client. The plot thickens.
The plot thickens. Jesus Christ.
Yes.
It's so blatant. It's like so obvious. The SpaceX lawsuit, the Trump stuff, it's so obvious.
Yes. Like known Epstein clients who are obviously extremely powerful, powerful politically and very wealthy, are Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and Reid Hoffman. And some others too, but those 3. So, why was Reid Hoffman so intent on destroying Trump?
Do you think it's because they're worried about the list coming out?
Yeah, one of the reasons. Yeah. That lawsuit.
One of the reasons. Now, here is Alina Habba just a few weeks ago.
They better watch out. I have zero tolerance for any of this. Look, here's number one, and I keep saying this. We cannot be careless. This is not reckless administration. We are looking at everything very, very carefully. We have to, number one, make sure that we preserve witnesses who unfortunately are victims. A lot of these people are victims. Make sure their identities and their protection. And you have to get a lot of things in place. If you have a witness in a case, on a murder case, we sometimes put them in witness protection. We sometimes make sure that we have to take care of the poor victims that have been through so much already. That's number one. So that's the first priority. And then we look at the underlying issues. Now, you have to make sure also we bring valid cases. You cannot bring frivolous lawsuits. If anybody knows anything about frivolous lawsuits, it's me and Pam and the DOJ that we currently have. We will not do that. But those people that are criminals, those people that were crossing state lines and trafficking those girls or having sex with minors will be prosecuted. There is just no, pornography, all of that. As you know, human trafficking was a main focus of mine while I was here, and I plan on still helping with that cause. I have some executive orders in the pipeline to help the, Homeland Security and HHS and all those departments get the things that they need to really go after them. And actually, my request of the president, which he was all on board with, is to make sure that the penalty is much harder for anybody who is violating any crime of moral turpitude. And that is the worst crime. Those are terrible to me. I mean, the taking of a child's life in a way, robbing them of their childhood and raping somebody like that is just disgusting.
And who can forget what Alex said that same day?
Thinking that, we're never really going to get what the FBI has on the Epstein files. And we'll never get it all because the bad guy's been in control for decades and most of it's probably been destroyed. But 14 terabytes were retrieved 3 weeks ago when Pam Bondi and Kash Patel raided the FBI headquarters in New York. They made the head of it step down who was covering it up. And then she said, we've got truckloads of it. It'll take a few weeks to go through it. Well, she came out yesterday and said, we've identified hundreds of new victims. It'll take time to process. We got to take out their names, but we're investigating now, and those involved will be prosecuted. Then Kyle Seraphin was scheduled for weeks on my show about the FBI files that got released a month ago, where I was the target of a national security investigation under Obama that went through the Trump administration. He didn't know about it. But when I learned this new information as a side note from him today, before he went live, I said, let's forget about me being persecuted. Let's talk about what you just told me. And he goes, well, here, I'll just show you. So he showed me the text messages the last few days and today from the D.C. field office, told me the guy's name, said they're patriots, just don't say their names, but they were happy for me to know, they're listeners. And we're talking the FBI field office, in there, around the country, but also the D.C. headquarters. Because it was also field offices, showed me those around the country. And they've been given 14 plus terabytes, video, audio, files, just horrible stuff. And they're having to get volunteers, that's how it works, to go in and actually watch it, because it's, you know what it is. Serious crimes against children. And they've been ordered, and it was in the news. Pam Bondi said, I've got a task force, it's top priority, 24 hours a day. It's our main focus to go through all this. And what we got in the truckloads that the deep state and the Democrats, were hiding in New York, where they were running it with Comey's daughter that ran the investigations, the cover-ups. And for people that don't get this, let me explain this to you. If Trump was going to use that for blackmail in the deep state or a cover-up, he wouldn't distribute the files to the FBI field offices across the country. Like, here's the full file, go investigate, bring us cases. And that's the order. So when you're centralizing something, you run out of D.C. No, they've given it to the field offices. So they've given it to the field offices. That's the first level of the cover-up falling. To give it, because there's some good FBI agents, quite a few, but they're compartmentalized. Around half, I would say, according to my sources and experience, are good people. They do bank robberies, kidnappings, real stuff, money laundering. And the others at the top are political. So I'm going to say it again. They got the files in a raid 3 weeks ago, and now in the last few days, they distributed them, and so many agents got on it that it crashed the servers, but it's back up. So Trump has released the files, released the hounds, like when they release beagles or whatever, or foxhounds to go after the fox. Trump has cried havoc and loosed the hounds of war, William Shakespeare. Okay? So he has set them loose to bring the cases to the DOJ that's been told go after it. So this is seismic, this is massive, this is historic, this is huge. Do you understand? They got the files, the hidden stuff, what they got. Importantly, it's insane. They've already found hundreds of victims, so there's real stuff in there. And I guess the FBI had saved some of the videos and hard drives they got from Epstein's Zorro Ranch and New Mexico and Little St. John's and the Caribbean and his New York thing and all of it. So this is insane. And all Trump's actions today were cutting all the funding to Planned Parenthood, releasing Crossfire Hurricane, on and on and on, going after the election fraud with executive orders. They're so powerful. I mean, this is incredible. I mean, day 63 is amazing. I mean, Trump has released the files to all the FBI offices. Total decentralization. They never do that. Hoover kept his blackmail files in a safe in his house. This is the complete opposite of that. This is revolution. This is the info war. The globalists try to destroy America, try to kill Trump, try to destroy me, try to destroy you. They fucked around and they found out.
So the clock is ticking on what could be the biggest cover-up in American history. Joe Rogan and Elon Musk asked the question we're all thinking, where is the mountain of evidence? Well, as you saw, Alex said it's already been decentralized, spread out across the country to FBI field offices. Now, we know Epstein's properties were raided. We know the tapes exist. We know Maxwell's in prison, yet somehow, still, the client list remains hidden. Yes, they're combing through it and they're redacting names of victims. That's respectable. But remember when ABC News buried Amy Robach's bombshell story because it was just too dangerous to air? She said, we had everything, but it never saw daylight. And now, as files are allegedly being wiped and witnesses mysteriously endangered, we're supposed to believe it's all coincidence. So here's the real question. If they could bury this level of evidence about the world's most notorious blackmail operation, what else are they hiding from the American people? Share your theories in the comments below, and make sure you hit our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and support the network with a hat or a shirt, because the truth will not be silenced. All right, let's keep going. We got more news to go through. Whistle Stop Cafe was the recipient of Karen's gift today. We're at 4397, one new member. Checking in on the main chat, see what you guys are talking about here. 200% tariff on China. Let's go. We've got, if you I just tried I tried to do a super chat. YouTube wouldn't let me. What? Well, that's weird. Why wouldn't it let you? I don't like that at all. Can't explain it. Bus was no accident. DJ G-Rod. Hey there, Gary. We have an awesome president. We do. My comments are off now? I don't know. I see your comment, Duty to Rebel. I'll try again. Let me reword it. It could have been your wording. All right, let's keep going. We got more news. Going into our fourth topic of the evening. And let's see where we're at here on this. Let's see. YouTube wouldn't let me super chat also. Are super chats disabled? Well, that's... No, TK's Custom Super Mods just dropped a super chat. So, okay. I always get nervous when I see these messages. I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. Right? Okay, Brian, we ready to rock? Okay. The surveillance state... Hang on, sorry. Let me fix this again. Take two. The surveillance state has been unmasked, and what we're learning should terrify every American citizen. Right now, unelected bureaucrats are using advanced monitoring tools to spy on you. Not terrorists, not criminals, but law-abiding patriots who simply question the narrative. House Judiciary Chairman Andy Biggs dropping a bombshell today, confirming that law enforcement agencies could potentially use this technology to surveil individuals who are not engaged in any illegal activity whatsoever. Meanwhile, Jim Jordan has exposed the FBI for violating their own internal protocols under the Biden administration. These aren't conspiracy theories anymore. They are congressional findings. And while they're watching you, the Supreme Court just gave President Trump the green light to use the Alien Enemies Act to deport foreign terrorists. The contrast could not be more stark. And while the surveillance state monitors your every move, your body has its own internal monitoring system, pain signals that fire when inflammation strikes. Just as Trump is using the Alien Enemies Act to target real threats, not innocent Americans, you need to target the root cause of your pain, not just mask the symptoms. Dr. Josh has discovered a turmeric extract 200 times more powerful than standard turmeric, like comparing Trump's targeted deportations to Biden's open border. This formula turns off pain signals at their source, just as Trump's policies are shutting down foreign terrorist networks. Experience the relief at goldenrevive.com/NNN and bypass the big pharma surveillance state controlling your health. It's linked below. Let's jump into it. Jim Jordan, one of my favorite members of Congress, calls out the Federal Bureau of Investigation for breaking their own rules under the Biden administration. Listen to this.
Chairman of the full committee, Mr. Jordan, for his
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act allows government to conduct surveillance of foreigners, as the title would suggest, outside of the United States for intelligence information. Okay, that's all well and good. We like that. They get that information, they bring in this giant database, this what I call the haystack of information, and then they do queries, which is a fancy word for search. And they search Americans, American phone numbers, names, email addresses. They search America. They call it queries, but a query is a fancy name. Query is a fancy name for search. 3 million times they did it in 2021. And here's the kicker. The FBI, when they did all these searches, didn't even follow their own rules. You don't have to take our word for it. The Inspector General said 278,000 times the FBI didn't even follow their rules for conducting these searches on Americans, not foreigners. So the ranking member's right. We got 12 months from now when we get a chance to go at this issue again. We were close last time. We lost a warrant requirement in a vote, 212 to 212. I'm going to do everything, and I know the chairman is, and I appreciate the ranking member's comments. We're going to do everything we can to make sure we have that warrant requirement. Here's the way it works in our country. If you're an American citizen and the government wants to go look at your stuff, they got to go to a separate and equal branch of government and get a warrant. It's pretty simple. That's what we want. Plain and simple. And we were one vote away from passing it in the House. Who knows what would have happened in the Senate. But I know I'm committed. I know the chairman of the subcommittee is committed, and the ranking member, I appreciate what he's done over the years in defending the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and we look forward to working with him on this issue. We need to do this to protect American citizens.
Chairman of the full committee.
Now, that just happened a few hours ago. Here we have more from Representative Jim Jordan. I believe these are similar remarks.
Allows government to conduct surveillance. Section 702 of the FBI didn't even follow their rules for, and the government wants to go look at your stuff, defending the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and we look forward to working with him on this issue. We need to do this to protect American citizens and stick with, as the ranking member said, the way it's always worked. You want to look at someone's stuff? Go get a warrant. Go to a separate branch of government, get a warrant. That's how probable cause. And here's the other thing. We even put exceptions in there. Exigent circumstances, something really bad's going to happen, or you give permission because there's some cyber attack on you or your company. We put exceptions in there. We'll put them back in again. Sometimes I thought we put too many exceptions. We'll do it again, but we got to win. We got to win this issue 12 months from now, April. I forget the date in April, but it's April next year, and we got to make sure we win this. And I appreciate the chairman bringing our witnesses here. Thank you for coming and having this hearing on this very important, fundamental issue for the American people. I yield back. In section.
Now we have the House Judiciary GOP posting this 10 hours ago. Law enforcement agencies could potentially use this technology to surveil individuals who are not engaged in any illegal activity whatsoever. Here is Representative Andy Biggs highlighting the dangers of mass government surveillance.
Who is subject to us. The Fourth Amendment guarantees all Americans the right to be free of unreasonable government searches and seizures. With advances in technology, Americans' personal data has become easily tracked and collected. And the government can and does obtain this information without acquiring a warrant and without ever notifying an individual who is subject to a search. This is especially prevalent in the context of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Reports in recent years detail how the FBI, under the leadership of past FBI directors, abused its authorities under FISA. The FBI used its authorities under Section 702 of FISA to conduct millions of queries of U.S. person communications. At its peak, the FBI conducted nearly 3 million such searches in 2021. In recent years, those numbers have begun to decline, but the FBI still conducts thousands of U.S. person queries every month. These actions violate the privacy and civil liberties of Americans and likely infringe on their Fourth Amendment protections. I've called for serious reforms to FISA for years, and last Congress we undertook the task of attempting to rein in years of FISA abuses. Congress enacted a bill that included various reforms, such as new and heightened criminal and civil penalties for those who violate FISA. We significantly reduced the number of FBI personnel authorized to approve queries. We required audits of U.S. person queries and implemented many new reporting and transparency measures. But we must still work to protect the Fourth Amendment rights of all Americans. I introduced an amendment to require a warrant for all U.S. person queries. This amendment included various exceptions to allow the FBI and the intelligence community to do its vital work of defending our homeland while protecting Americans' privacy rights. This amendment had broad bipartisan support, and we worked closely with our colleagues across the aisle in an attempt to address this issue. I believe such a reform is necessary to end the abuses of Americans' rights, but reforming FISA itself is not enough. The government has plenty of other tools at its disposal to collect information on Americans. Currently, the laws governing how the Fourth Amendment is applied in the digital context is the Wild West. Key legislation in this space is the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, which was written in 1986 and did not take into account all the advances in digital communications that have occurred since. The iPhone, for example, did not show up for 2 decades after this law was written. These cell phones have become such an integral part of our lives that, as the Supreme Court has held, they now, quote, hold for many Americans the privacies of life, close quote. Federal agencies are able to sidestep the requirements of the Fourth Amendment and access and collect massive amounts of private information on Americans by exploiting a legal loophole in this act. Rather than obtain a warrant, government agencies like the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Internal Revenue Service, the Drug Enforcement Agency, and the Department of Homeland Security can simply turn to data brokers and purchase mass amounts of Americans' data. This includes such private information like location and health information and so on. Currently, with a disturbing amount of frequency, data brokers sell Americans' personal information to law enforcement and intelligence agencies without any court oversight. In contrast to strict rules that prevent phone companies and social media sites from selling such information to the government. We also are aware of reports of the federal government using facial recognition technology. This is a powerful tool that can be used to help solve crimes, but this technology also raises serious issues concerning First and Fourth Amendment rights. Law enforcement agencies could potentially use this technology to surveil individuals who are not engaged in any illegal activity whatsoever. For example, we've seen reports of ATF using facial recognition to find gun owners. The federal government has also turned to private companies like Clearview AI to purchase access to facial recognition technology. Clearview AI pulls publicly available photographs from social media sites and puts them into a database marketed to law enforcement. Clearview AI's founders called the service a search engine for faces. The Government Accountability Office has conducted studies of federal law enforcement entities' use of this technology in recent years. It found that federal law enforcement agencies had not properly assessed privacy and other risks associated with the use of this technology. And some did not even know which systems their agents were using. Wow. As technology continues to develop, the government has more and more information about Americans available to it. Used improperly, this will continue the pattern of government surveillance of U.S. citizens that we have fought so hard against. Congress must protect the privacy rights of Americans and uphold the guarantees of the Fourth Amendment. I look forward to this opportunity to discuss the dangers of mass surveillance and explore meaningful reforms. I appreciate our witnesses and the members for being here today and the public for attending as well.
Well, I think the answer is simple. Don't let the FBI purchase data on the open market. That should be illegal, 100%. I mean, when you're posting stuff on Facebook and Instagram, willy-nilly, when those posts are public, they're getting harvested by data collection companies that are then selling that information to the FBI, your personal information. Oh, you thought it was bad? They're just selling it for ads and sponsors and retargeting. No, it's going directly to the FBI. I did not know that. Here is the press secretary discussing the Supreme Court legal victory just a few hours ago.
The alien enemy. Last night, the Supreme Court delivered a massive legal victory to the Trump administration and allowed us to continue removing foreign terrorist invaders under the Alien Enemies Act. This was a smackdown to a rogue left-wing, low-level district court judge who have relentlessly tried to stop President Trump from using his core constitutional powers as head of the executive branch and as commander-in-chief. The highest court in the land made it clear that the President of the United States has the power to protect our homeland and forcibly remove foreign terrorists who pose a grave threat to families and communities. Thank you to the Supreme Court for upholding the rule of law and protecting the Constitution. Our message to the monster Tren de Aragua and MS-13 terrorists still hiding illegally inside our country is clear. Deport yourself now, or you will be locked up and sent back to your home country. Last night, the Supreme...
And I should point out that Amy Coney Barrett sided with the left-wing radical judges on the Supreme Court. She sided with MS-13 over your safety. Let that sink in for a minute, right? Let's keep going. We have the Attorney General Pam Bondi talking about the Supreme Court ruling.
What we've been this is a landmark victory for the rule of law, and this is what we've been arguing on behalf of President Trump from day one. These are enemies of our state, of our country, and they should be deported. And what the judge ruled was, going forward, from this day forward, all those planes that are gone are there. Those people are staying. So there are a lot of reasons why Americans are safer. From this point forward, the hearing will be held. It's a habeas hearing. hearing in the court of confinement, which means in Texas.
Yeah.
So it will be a much faster hearing. They can't do class actions. It will be a much smoother, simpler hearing, and these people will be deported. Americans are safer, and domestic terrorists, foreign terrorists, you better look out because we're coming after you. I'd start self-deporting if I were you, because we're going to find you. This is
yeah, start self-deporting indeed. Yeah, here it is. Justice Amy Coney Barrett sides with the liberal justice that President Trump cannot invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Yeah, remember when she was the darling appointment? Wow. Let's keep going. Here is Stephen Miller on the SCOTUS ruling.
Victory. This was a huge, a monumental victory for President Trump. The biggest legal win of this administration so far. A total embarrassment for crazy Judge Boasberg, who's been trying to force this president to bring foreign alien terrorists back onto American soil, trying to turn our planes around, trying to empty prisons in foreign countries and bring them back to our soil. This is a monumental, colossal victory for the rule of law, for the Constitution, for our founding generation, John Adams, who signed this law into effect in 1798, and for President Trump in fulfilling his mandate and campaign pledge. What does this mean for you and your family watching at home tonight? It means that the Department of Justice, FBI, DEA, ATF, the U.S. Marshal Service, Customs and Border Protection, Border Patrol, and Immigrations and Customs Enforcement now have maximum authority to find and remove illegal alien gang members from Venezuela that have been responsible for so much misery in this country, for the torture and murder of Jocelyn Ungary, for the brutal slaying of Laken Riley. Those monsters can now be hunted down and expelled from this country with speed, force, and efficiency. This is a great day for America, Sean.
Major, major win for America. And Amy Coney Barrett exposing herself. Here is more from the press secretary, speaking with Jesse Waters.
This is a massive legal victory, Jesse, a massive victory for law and order and for our constitutional republic and the sovereignty of the United States of America. We called on the Supreme Court to rein in these activist judges like Judge Boasberg, who was completely out of line in trying to say that the president didn't have the executive authority to deport foreign terrorists off of our soil. We have always maintained the position at the White House that the president was well within his constitutional authority to do so. And this decision proves that President Trump and our administration have always been right from the beginning. He will continue to utilize the Alien Enemies Act to remove foreign terrorists and Tren de Aragua members, vicious gang members from American communities. And because of this ruling, the United States of America is a much safer place. Our team will get to work tomorrow to deport these heinous, violent foreign terrorists from our neighborhoods.
Let's go. And we have Secretary Kristi Noem posting this. President Trump proven right once again. SCOTUS confirms our Commander-in-Chief Donald J. Trump has the power to stop the invasion of our country by terrorists using wartime powers. Leave now or we will arrest you, lock you up, and deport you. Yeah, these are the people that Chuck Schumer want to keep in the country. Here is Mark Thiessen on the SCOTUS decision.
Destroy Donald Trump. This is a big victory for Trump in the new lawfare. So the old lawfare was try to destroy Donald Trump. 91 indictments, 2 impeachments, civil suits to destroy him, and all the rest of it. That all failed. He won the election and came back stronger than ever. And so the new lawfare is to try and stop him from implementing his agenda through a miasma of court cases. And this was a perfect example of it. And the Supreme Court is now allowing him to use this law. So this is a first victory in the fight against the new lawfare. This is
the new lawfare. Think about that. Here is USA Today's Susan Page on the Supreme Court decision.
His policies. Obviously, this is a big victory for President Trump, and it returns him to the issue on which he is most popular, which is his policies on illegal immigration.
Another big win, just up and down the news channels, everybody. Here's even Brett Baer on it.
The U.S. Supreme Court, we're getting some breaking news at this hour coming out of the Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court has handed President Trump a victory, letting him and his administration use the 1798 law that historically has been employed only in wartime to swiftly deport alleged Venezuelan gang members as part of the Republican president's hardline approach to immigration, granting that administration request to lift the Washington-based U.S. judge James Boasberg's March 15th order that had temporarily blocked the summary deportations under the Alien Enemies Act while litigation in the case continues. So the Supreme Court has weighed in. We're getting some.
And Trump scores another win. So the implications of the surveillance revelation go beyond politics. When government agencies turn their intelligence apparatus inward instead of protecting our borders, we've crossed a very dangerous line. AG Pam Bondi's warning of foreign terrorists is unequivocal. I'd start self-deporting if I were you because we're going to find you. But the bigger question remains, why are these same agencies more interested in monitoring American citizens than in protecting them from the very real threats crossing our borders daily? Why was the FBI allegedly deleting Epstein files while simultaneously expanding domestic surveillance programs? What we're witnessing is a tale of two governments. One under Trump that's focused on outward and real threats, and a bureaucratic deep state focused inward on controlling American citizens. So I'll ask you, which America do you want to live in? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And show your resistance with our Next News hats and shirts at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, linked below. All right, let's go. I'm seeing, you guys are testing the super chats after our Boyd was mysteriously being blocked, but it looks like he got through. Our Boyd dropping his $5. He's been trying. Abolish the FBI, IRS, ATF, and the Department of Education. I can stand by that. In the meantime, dropping $10. Test, thank you for bringing us the real news. Thank you for that $10. I can only reality. I can roll in reality. Thank you. Drop it $2. YouTube test. I'm ready if financial fails. And then we got Juan Ruiz. Look who's here. Ron Ruiz dropping one Next News Network membership. That's really out of character for Juan. He's usually dropping like 40 at a time. Thank you, Juan. Sincerely. MAGA Maniac was a recipient of that. And then we have this from Juan, again, dropping $2. Trump dance tonight? Well, I think you guys know the rules. And then we have Kibbs Ellis has just become a member. Now, remember, when you do become a member, you have access to our behind-the-scenes video. You have access to the Next News team through our Discord chat. And, of course, you can communicate with other members 24/7. It's pretty cool. And we got to thank Brian for setting all that up. And we do have some other things in the background that we are working on just for members. I think you guys will be really excited when we finally get that sorted out. It's not easy, but we're working on it. Let's keep going here. Trying to find, oh, here we go. It's Doge time, baby. It's Doge time, baby. Let's go. Juan dropping 10. See what happens when you challenge Juan Ruiz? I'll show you, Franchi. I'll give 10 memberships. Gotta love it. Frosty Sprinkles, Deborah Clark, Derek Poppenhagen, Teresa Davis, Angela Cranford, Aliski 24, Red Pill Daily, X2 Boy Mom, Chad Galloway, and David Ruffin Jr. They've all joined the ranks. All right, let's get to our next topic. Okay. Oh, and our Boyd. Okay, fine. Our Boyd dropping 10. Okay, I'll bring it up before we get started here. Yeah, you caught me right at the right moment. Our Boyd, 200 mark for the Trump dance. Oh, you guys. You treat me like a dirty stripper. Okay, let's go. The Department of Government Efficiency is setting Washington on fire, and the bureaucrats are running for cover. Today's FISA hearing turned into a total panic fest when multiple DOGE revelations hit simultaneously, and it's clear the deep state is terrified. The bombshells keep dropping. DOGE discovered nearly 4 million Social Security numbers were handed out to non-citizens with no interview, no ID check, and just 5 months after filing asylum claims. Now, these numbers enable immediate access to Medicaid benefits and driver's licenses, all on your dime. Meanwhile, Representative Tim Burchett didn't hold back. He says there is a paper trail going back to D.C. Somebody better be let out of a building in handcuffs. And that's something we all want to see. But the most damning part, DOGE confirmed that families of politicians are profiting from government office leases. That's not oversight. That's organized crime. And while DOGE exposes Washington's paper trail of corruption, Chuck Norris has been exposing something else. The secret to staying strong even as our government grows weaker. Just as DOGE found politicians' families profiting from taxpayer dollars, Chuck discovered 3 hidden factors sabotaging your body as you age. When DOGE revealed 4 million Social Security numbers issued to non-citizens with no verification, Chuck verified something too. That at age 84, he can still kick higher, punch harder, and train longer than men half his age. His energy levels remain strong even when our government institutions are failing. Discover how he does it at chuckdefense.com/next before this information disappears from the internet. It's linked below. Let's jump into this hearing. Dan Goldman, that guy's a real winner, hijacks the FISA hearing to gaslight about DOGE. Western Lensman posting this says surveillance of U.S. citizens pales in comparison to Elon Musk and DOGE getting access to Americans' personal data. Give me a break.
But it pales in comparison to what's going on right now with Americans' privacy, with Americans' national security. We're talking about whether there should be a warrant to search a certain amount of information lawfully collected from foreigners. It's not a broad set of information. And yet some, non-government employee, Elon Musk, is getting access to every single American's personal identification information. His employees, some of whom have already been found to have stolen information from one company to bring to another competitor, are getting access to Americans' personal identification information, whether it be through the Social Security Administration, it be through the Department of Treasury. So it feels like this hearing, while important, is somewhat misguided at this time when the privacy considerations of every American is at risk, rather than a very narrowly tailored set of Americans who are communicating with foreigners who are suspected or potentially suspected of being involved in adversarial actions against the United States.
And that guy is connecting a lot of dots that don't exist, straight up gaslighting everybody. Here's Representative Tim Burchett dropping the hammer with Benny Johnson. Elon Musk and DOGE recently discovered government agency paper trail better lead to arrest. Listen to this.
Members of Congress owning the government fraud.
He told us in the meeting something about everybody.
Elon Musk saying today to Chuck Schumer, I'm starting to think that you're getting a piece of the action with all the government fraud. That couldn't possibly be true, could it? Congressman, you must know something about this. Has Elon discovered something about Chuck Schumer, his family, or corruption?
I'd say he's probably discovered something about everybody. Elon's got that paper trail, and he told us in the meeting, in our little private meeting, there's a paper trail that's going back to Washington, D.C. And dadgummit, somebody better be let out of one of these buildings in handcuffs, because this is real. This is going on. We've seen it all over. We see it in California with some of the elected officials out there. It's been documented in the past, and nobody's willing to say anything about it or do anything about it. Or they get reelected and they get put right back in leadership. And that's why it's so important to have a Justice Department that's not weaponized against the people, but is weaponized against corruption. And we've currently got that. We've just got to hold on to it. And I don't know if we've got the guts or the willpower to do it, because Congress is gutless, Benny. Congress is gutless. We ought to, every day, we ought to be demanding that these bills move forward, and nobody's doing it. Nobody. I mean, a few of us are, but until these committee chairmen move forward with this stuff and we get out of being compromised, I would suggest to you that we will continue on this downhill slide.
Got a lot of compromise, a lot of Chinese hooks into members of Congress.
I mean, they're in our military installations. They, you know, they're like, oh, they're flying satellites over. They don't need to fly satellites over. They're running the commissaries. They have access to people's credit cards, social security numbers, all their information. You do not think that the Chinese are making files every day on this stuff. This is just, and what the hell? Why are we letting them in these places? Why are we letting them buy property? Where is, it's just, they're not going to take it from us, Benny. We're just giving it to them. And how we give it to them is greed. And that's why they're so angry about these tariffs, because Congress is so greedy. We have been bought and sold by lobbyists and the national chambers of commerce. They're coming out now against the tariffs. Well, of course they are. They're in bed with the Chinese. They like slave labor overseas. They don't like the fact that 50%, I mean, they love the fact that 50% of America is living paycheck to paycheck, and the other half is doing fairly well. That's just wrong, Benny. And it's wrong because Congress sold them out. Lock, stock, and barrel. Over the course of several years, that's what's happened. That's why China's doing what they're doing. That's why this guy is getting by with what he got by. Ukraine almost being able to take out our president because of greed. The profit motive. You know, I was on CNN and they said, well, Congressman, 60% of the money is being spent back in our country. So it justifies killing people because we're getting, our missile defense companies are getting fat, and their lobbyists are contributing heavily to congressmen and senators' campaigns. I mean, is that what they just basically just admitted that.
You're on the DOGE. Man, that's a mouthful. Holy cow. Here's from the DOGE subcommittee. Tim Burchett. Witness confirms that the families of politicians are profiting from leases to the federal government. Why should these people make money off you? Isn't that the definition of corruption? Holy cow. Here's a witness.
Any members of Congress, there's Chair Lady, thank you for indulgence and allowing me to be on this committee. I come in here usually ticked off and I leave in worse condition, so thank you for that. If I ever have a counselor, I'm going to send you the bill. Mr. Hart, do any members of Congress, their spouses, or their immediate family have any property ownership rights to this property or any federal land?
Congressman, I don't know the answer to that question off the top of my head.
Okay, do spouses of members of Congress own real property and lease it to the federal government? And how would we find that out? Because I think I know what you're going to say.
I believe the answer to that question is yes.
You do?
I do believe that.
Is there any way we could verify that information?
Well, you go to USA Spending and search, you open the books, our website, and you can look up members' names, you can look up any person's name, and find that information.
All right. I suspect that's being done as I speak.
Holy cow. You know, I never thought about that. That members of Congress, members of our own government, their families leasing property back to the federal government. Oh, thank God for DOGE. My goodness.
Mr. Maroney, how much underutilized space does the federal government have?
Can't say. There's not good data. We just don't have data. There's going to come this summer. Congress has now required it. But prior to this, once you get outside of headquarters, there wasn't measurement of how much the buildings
I hate these studies. Every day we vote on a new study, and I suspect there's some warehouse like in Raiders of the Lost Ark at the end where they're putting this, and our top people are looking at it, and there's these studies are just on these shelves in these vast warehouses. Would you agree with that assumption?
There are a lot of studies.
All right. Remember, you're whatever. All right. How much would the federal government save by allowing unneeded leases to expire?
federal government spends about $6 billion on leased office space. So depending on how many you let expire, you get substantial savings.
As I said up here, people chastise the thought of making a profit. To me, that's not an evil thing. That allows more people to be employed. It seems that we have forgotten exactly who we work for, and it's the people back home who are struggling. Now, when I was mayor of Knox County, one of the first things I did was I said, get me a list of all the property we own in Knox County. And it was amazing to me. I mean, we had property in neighborhoods. We had some of it was obviously undevelopable. So one was on the corner of a small airport. But it was all over. We had something listed as a park, and it was nothing further from a park. And we ended up selling a lot of this property, and we paid cash for schools, crazy things like that. We didn't stay in debt. And to me, that just seems like the model that the federal government should adopt. We should have a listing of the property, and the people ought to be able to review that and make better assumptions, because I think they're a lot more smarter than we give them credit for. And I suspect that's part of the problem. They don't want to let them look behind the curtain, so to speak. Would you agree with that?
It is important to have that kind of data. There is an inventory that's available online, but there are significant issues with its reliability.
Mr. Hart, would you care to address that?
We would like to enhance the transparency of all of that data. I think it's one of the most important assets that taxpayers should be able to review the cost so that they can make good decisions. And again, the purpose of transparency is to empower taxpayers. Transparency is not a two-way street. The government does not have the right to inspect our checkbook. Taxpayers do have the right to inspect the government's checkbook because it's their money.
Mr. Kendall, would you care to offer your...
I'm all in favor of transparency. No objection.
Wow. It seems our friends in the media always strive for that, and then and we get pretty gutless up here. So I would hope in the future we would address that. Oh, I'll yield my 49 seconds back.
I mean, you're not going to see this. You're not going to see this on CNN, Fox, MSNBC. You're not going to see this hearing on any channel. Did you even know any of this was going on? What does that tell you? Man, this is amazing stuff here. Here we have, this is 6 hours ago. Hope you're sitting down. Biden issued nearly 4 million Social Security numbers to non-citizens, provided just 5 months after filing asylum claims. Amuse posting this. Here's the clip that was on Fox Business.
Their asylum request at Fox to reveal what's really going on. DOGE exposed our immigration asylum disaster. That was the tip of the iceberg. Now, here's the story. DOGE has found that immigration gave a work authorization document to illegals just 5 months after they filed for asylum. That document allowed them to work while they waited to hear whether their asylum request had been accepted or denied. So they could work as an illegal, knowing it would take years before their case was heard. The Immigration Department mailed them a Social Security number. No interview, no proof of identity. Just put it in the mail. Here's your number. In 2021, DOGE says 270,000 new aliens were issued Social Security numbers, 590,000 in 2022, 964,000 in 2023, and 2.1 million in 24, right before Biden left office. DOGE also discovered that 1.3 million aliens are now receiving Medicaid. Millions received driver's licenses, some registered to vote, and DOGE says some actually did vote. Try and square that against Democrat claims that Musk is destroying Social Security and cutting Medicaid. He's not destroying. He's weeding out people who don't qualify. Who is really guilty of misinformation in this case? It is not Elon Musk. Fox to reveal.
Yeah, and that's why they're going after him so hard. Here's more. This was 9 hours ago. Supreme Court rules that DOGE and Trump administration can fire probationary workers. Another win for DOGE and President Trump.
This time, there's some breaking news that hit that Donald Trump President Trump, the Trump administration, has just won another Supreme Court case against these rogue activist judges. This time they affirm his authority to fire probationary workers. So this affects like 16,000 different firings that have happened that were held up in the courts. So we've got Mike Davis, Article 3 Project, joining us later. This is just stringing together common sense Article 2 powers of the presidency with the authority to actually run the country as the founders saw fit. They saw an energetic executive that was able to move quickly and respond to crises and not always be held up by the whims of the courts or the legislature. So there are obviously places in the Constitution that and authorities that are vested in the president. And then
so President Trump scoring a huge win. Probationary employees of the government on the chopping block. Here is Trump's secretary, Treasury Secretary, breaking his silence on the fake news lies about Elon Musk and DOGE, talking with Tucker Carlson.
So do you think after 4 years we will see an actual net reduction in government spending thanks to DOGE?
Inflation adjusted, yes.
Huh. How long do you think Elon's in for?
I think that Elon, that day to day, I don't know, but I think his imprint is going to be with us a long time. And I think that the mainstream media has tried to demonize DOGE and all the folks who work with him. And I tell you, we have a couple at Treasury, a couple at IRS. They're Treasury employees who I hired, I interviewed, and I'll tell you, there's this one fellow, Tom Krause. He was on TV with Brett Baer the other night, and Tom's incredible. He's done $100 billion of tech mergers. With my investment business, I would have hired him. I don't think I could have afforded him. And he is doing this for the good of his country. He came in without touching any of the payment systems, that the mistruths that were spread by the Washington Post. He has analyzed the system, and within 6 weeks, pointed at all the vulnerabilities. There's a young man named Sam Kirkos who was on Laura Ingraham with me the other night, and that was my idea. It's like, let's bring him out of the shadows and let's make this demonization stop. And like this young man, other than the fact he only owns one pair of pants, which he likes telling everyone, you or I would be happy if our daughter brought him home. He's a patriot. He's working hard for the country, and he's analytical. And the things that he's seen at the IRS, just in their tech systems, and that's all he does. You know, Elon has a shirt that he wears under his jacket, and he'll flash it every once in a while, and it says tech support. And that's what we're getting. We've got a blockbuster style government, and we should be on Netflix. We're hailing cabs, and we're in an Uber economy. Why can't the government be in the gig economy? Not hard.
Wow. Breaking the fake news, bringing the people out of the shadows. Here we have, speaking of DOGE, this was posted 24 hours ago. NBC going inside the literal underground mine where a few hundred federal employees process all retirement paperwork for the entire federal government, stored in 26,000 filing cabinets. DOGE is working to make it more modern, efficient, and cost-effective. Now, we've played a clip of this before, but now we have another look. Let's take a look.
Employees buried deep inside this mine in western Pennsylvania is a little-known government office that handles a critical mission for the federal workforce, now set to be overhauled by the Department of Government Efficiency.
From the mine entrance, which they call the portal, we took some golf carts a few hundred feet down into the mine. You can feel the air change when you get inside, and you can see this is all just roughly cut out of the limestone. This was once a limestone mine. And down here, this is where we find the OPM office, where a few hundred federal employees process all retirement paperwork
paperwork for the entire federal government. It's an analog operation, all done on paper. It can take months for the Office of Personnel Management to process a case, potentially delaying retiree benefits. The facility has literally miles of files, some 26,000 filing cabinets filled with retirement paperwork, some of them stacked 10 high. Matt McIsaac runs the day-to-day operations inside. When you look out over all of this, what do you see?
I see people. I see careers. I see service.
And what do you mean a mine? When Elon Musk brought up the mine in an Oval Office appearance back in February as a target ripe for reform, McIsaac agreed.
He's right. We have to improve the way that we do things for federal employees and for the American public.
Buried deep inside this mine in western Pennsylvania.
So it's not just about government waste anymore, Patriots. It's about systematic corruption built into the very institutions meant to serve the American people. When NBC cameras went inside the Federal Retirement Processing Center, they found an underground mine with 26,000 filing cabinets. That's how your retirement is managed in 2025. Meanwhile, politicians' families cash in on government office leases. In just 3 months, DOGE has accomplished what decades of Inspector General reports couldn't, exposing the raw nerve of government corruption. And now the Supreme Court has given them legal backing to fire probationary workers who stand in the way of reform. So the question we should be asking is this. If this much corruption has been exposed in just 3 months, what will we learn in 4 years? Just how deep does this rabbit hole really go? Share your predictions in the comments below. And wear your support for government efficiency with our MAG Avengers t-shirt at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Wow. What do we have here? Sure You giving out a membership. Wow. Jay Hall receiving it. And then Stephen Ledoux, check it out, man. He just won $100 on a scratch-off ticket, throwing us a 20 spot. He said, P.S. I don't condone scratchies. Play at your own risk. Love it. All right, let's see what else you guys are talking about. I love Doge, man. I don't know what we would do without it. Goes so deep, it comes out in China. That's what Seven Cities Kid says. Kofefe. Me too. Hello, Arboid. Hello, JG. The government get to retire off the back of the taxpayer. I don't get to retire. IRS knows all. Maybe they blackmail. T Tuxedo Pambani needs to put on a what? Oh my goodness. Send the Discord link into chat. That's only for members, Boyd. So we don't want to put that out into the public. But I think it does check against your membership. Thanks, Gary. Tom B420. Couldn't find it either on Discord. Skills Computer Rehab. Okay. Brian, I'm not sure how you want to address that, but they got some questions about the Discord chat. Let's go to Super Chats. We just got Tom B420. Thanks, Gary, N3 Army for Life. All right, let's keep going. We got more news going into our sixth topic of the night. Oh, my goodness. What the hell? Wow. Okay. The so-called hang on, sorry, take two. The so-called hands-off protests have completely imploded, and we have the receipts to prove it. What the mainstream media tried to sell as a grassroots uprising has been exposed as nothing more than a pathetic Soros-funded AstroTurf operation. The evidence is damning. Wall Street apes caught them on video, buses being loaded with paid protesters ready to demonstrate against Elon Musk, DOGE, and President Trump. They were literally handing out pre-printed signs as people boarded. This is not activism. It's called political theater, and is paid for by globalist dark money. One woman caught on camera crying because there were barely any youth at the protest. Well, that's because Gen Z isn't buying the lies anymore. Meanwhile, independent journalists covering the events were physically attacked by the same crowd chanting, "Hands off." The hypocrisy is absolutely stunning. And while these paid protesters are bussed in to create fake outrage, your blood pressure might be rising from the real outrage of seeing our democracy, our republic, manipulated. A shocking 2024 study reveals nearly half of all U.S. adults have high blood pressure. And just like these hands-off protests, most cases aren't being properly managed. But here's the good news. Unlike these artificial demonstrations with empty streets and paid operatives, there is a genuine solution for your health concerns. Just as Wall Street apes expose the truth behind the collapsing protests, I'm exposing the truth about heart health with this triple action formula at boostwithgary.com. Don't let your health be controlled by special interests. Take back control today with up to 40% off. You'll find it linked in the description. So I just got sent this video here. New York City residents began throwing trash from their building windows at pro-Hamas fanatics who have been terrorizing the streets. Look at this. Talk about taking out the trash. Okay, we've got more. New, Hands Off, a series of nationwide protests launched on April 5th through thousands of demonstrators to fight back against President Trump. From Kalen spoke to many in downtown Los Angeles who displayed their handmade signs and explained what they're protesting against. Let's check this out. This is from Front Lines. I'm not sure why it's just music. That was weird. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Let's go to this next one here. They think they're standing up to Trump. Liberals are doing a hands-off protest, and Soros is bussing them in.
We are proclaiming. All right, we are getting ready to leave from Urbana in Frederick, Maryland, to head down to the hands-off protest where we are proclaiming loudly we've had enough. What's our goal today, guys?
Stand up to Trump, bring back our democracy.
We're going to do it. All right. Here's the first bus, yes? Yeah. And the crowd is starting to develop. And I am going to post another video once I get down there.
The buses are lining up, folks. You got it. Yeah, $5 an hour is what they're getting. I think it's actually 25, Brian. Here is Greg Gutfeld. He's always got some great monologues. Hands off my Ovaltine, he says.
Musk has. Did you notice how professional all these signs were and how prepared they were? They're not hiding the dark money anymore.
No, they're not hiding it at all, but the signs made no sense. So I actually pulled up a lot of these pictures and zoomed in. It was horrible. It was like Elon Musk has no tusk. Like, it was the dumbest stuff, right? Like, they came up with them so quickly.
But that's true. He doesn't. He's not an elephant. Finally, a factual sign.
You're right, but he is a marsupial. He has a pouch. So a pouch of money, according to them. The thing is, they're bored, and that's a great point that you bring up. But why are they bored? They're bored because they don't have a North Star. They don't have a moral compass. They don't have a foundation. They're not rooted to anything. And there's probably 5 or 10 leaders at the top of this circus that goes around town every few weeks or every few months that are controlling them. And these are their minions. These are the circus animals. And they listen to them. It is literally a cult. I'm mad at the people who are controlling them. I'm not necessarily mad at the people because they're so lost, and it is incredibly sad. And I agree as well about what are they doing, why on a Saturday? How can you mobilize 12,000 people on a Saturday? If you ask me, are you available next Saturday? I've got 6 baseball games, Little League, the restaurant's probably going to be on fire. Lauren's already angry at me, I can tell. And it's like, because I have a life, because I have community, I have family, I'm rooted in something. These people have nothing to do, and if you look across the expanse of the audience, it's all middle-aged white women, a couple men in there, but they're women too. And what is it? Hands off, hands off what? Hands off my Ovaltine, hands off my hard candies. Like, these are old, elderly people who have nothing to live for.
Yeah, it's not hands off my body because no one's going there.
Nobody is.
Was that mean, Emily? Is it, Andrew?
What was it? Hands off what? Hands off my USAID money laundering scheme? Here is the hands-off protest versus reality. 2 days ago, General Motors Corporation announced that they were expanding vehicle production in the U.S. in the state of Indiana for the first time in 25 years. The jobs report came out saying 228,000 jobs were added. Listen.
8,000 jobs. 2 days ago, General Motors Corporation announced that they were expanding vehicle production in the United States, in the state of Indiana, for the first time in about 25 years. Yesterday, the jobs report came out saying that 228,000 jobs were added to the U.S. economy, more than all economists had predicted, which was about half of that amount. Finally, someone is taking care of business. The U.S. government is reducing spending, and here we have in downtown Philadelphia, the people are protesting. They want less jobs, they want less production in American plants, and apparently they want more government spending. And that's the way the world is. See you next time.
Yeah. What are they actually protesting? I mean, they're just paid. They're just out there getting a paycheck. Here's more from Wall Street Apes. 2 buses being loaded up with paid protesters ready to go to protest Elon Musk, DOGE, and Donald Trump.
We got 2. People don't believe that people get out here and they charter buses to do their protesting. They pay protesters. We got 2 full on. No, there's no Trump on there. They're just paid protesters.
I mean, who's paying for these buses? It's all these NGOs and Soros-backed puppets. Here's a woman crying at the hands-off protest because there were barely any youth.
We're handicapped, so I'm at the hands-off protest in my city, and I'm literally crying because it's so sad that it's gotten to this point. And it's mostly people who are seniors or handicapped or... I can't even believe it that people voted for this. It's killing me. Oh. So I'm at the hands-off protest.
Seniors and handicapped people out there getting a paycheck from Soros. Here's Libercrat posting that Nick was covering the anti-Trump Elon Musk rally in D.C., and for a bunch of people screaming hands off, they sure love putting their hands on him.
Film unless it's consent of anyone's. These anti-Trump and anti-Elon Musk are seeing what they're protesting for. Let's see who we can get up here. Wow. I just want to remind you of protest procedure. Don't film unless it's consent of anyone's faces. And we'd ask if you are on public property, though, so we can film. Are you part of the protest? Are you Of course, I'm here. Hey, easy, dude. You don't have our consent to do this. Don't touch me. You do. Don't touch me! Whoa. Don't easy. touch me! I didn't touch you for nothing. You touched me! Don't touch me! You want some money? He's touching Can we him. get someone around these people, please?
Walk around them circles.
Elbows! Easy.
Elbows!
Easy.
No.
Easy.
We're not here to.
Wait.
We're not here for the protest.
Whoa. What? Get the police. What did I do?
Don't feed the trolls.
No. Get
Elbows around.
Elbows around. Holy cow. Don't let me go. Ooh, what are you going to do? Elbows. Man, we are peaceful. What the hell is going on out here? Watch, he can't keep running. Okay, what is going on, everybody? Look, we got a crowd coming. Dude, you touched me. Bro, get off me. He's touching me. I know I'm attracted, but I'm not that attracted to follow me like stink on poo. Come on, man, get off me.
Get off the property. Go.
Ma'am, stop following me. Bro, what are you doing?
I'm part of security. He's not allowed to be here.
Part of no security. I could have brought a construction vest as well.
I thought you were trying to fight for our country.
I am fighting for our country.
Okay.
You guys, get off me.
Zone 5 agitators.
I ain't no agitator.
Yes, you are.
He's the one agitating me. Ma'am, I came in a suit to be respectful for you guys today. Oh, geez. Are you moaning, sir? Stop the moan.
He's riding up on me.
He's riding up on me.
This is not
This guy has a mask on.
Fascist here!
Look at. How are you guys doing?
Fascists don't belong here!
There's your sign.
How are you doing, ma'am?
It'd be better if Donald Trump wasn't in president.
Look at him. Grab their microphone, they freak out. Bro, these...
Help! He's hurting me!
You look like a fool. You know that's who you are? A freaking fool. I am. I'm looking professional. Oh my gosh. Bro, you...
Hey, you're pushing the people.
I'm not...
Let me take it.
What is going on? This guy's a lunatic. What are you guys doing? Get your hands off me, little Antifa boy. Get the police officer, these fools. Officer, these guys, where did your one little boy go?
We did not touch you. We're safety.
What do you guys have? I have every right to be here.
You guys can go do what you're doing. Let him walk away. Don't engage.
He's not walking away.
I try to walk everywhere here, and you guys followed me everywhere I go.
Because you're shoving microphones in people's face.
I haven't done it once.
You've done it a million times.
They are confronting these
man. Wow. That guy was total lunatic. He was chasing him, literally chasing him. Here's another one. Charlie Kirk posted this 10 hours ago. Gen Z is not participating with the AstroTurf bought and paid for hands-off protest because they know it's a scam. They were told college was the only way to succeed. That's a lie. They were told they never own a home and like it. Lie. Young men were told they were toxic. Lie. What is this?
Conversations and walking. I'm at the protest right now in New York City, anti-Trump, anti-fascist protest, and I have one question. Where the f*** is Gen Z? These people are cheering, they're talking like it's just the 60s, it's just like the 60s, and they're having conversations and walking slowly. There's no fight here. There's no youth here. It's all 30-somethings and their children, and then seniors, and God bless everybody who showed up today, but I'm really disappointed in the youth turnout. Where is the youth turnout? This is
because they're not buying it. For those of you wondering, this is not a legal protest. You have the right to a peaceful protest as long as you are law-abiding. Trespassing, loitering, and shutting down trains is illegal. Anyone who participates is breaking the law. This is Union Station in New York. Wow. Let's keep going. We got some more to get through here. MAGA pulls up to liberal protests and starts a Trump train. Oh, wow. Here's more exposed. Professional protesters trailing Elon and Trump, and guess who's likely paying for it? The same faces show up. Tesla protests, Grand Central Station, Capitol Hill, anti-Trump rallies, climate sit-ins, different causes, same operation, funded by radical outfits working in teams, blocking interviews, silencing dissent, and who's behind it all? The fingerprints point to George Soros-linked networks. The same ones pushing for destabilization across the West. If one man is funding chaos, if one man is weaponizing protests to crush dissent, then the full weight of the American system should seriously ask, how long do we allow it before we take him down? Here's Nate Friedman, 97.
Morgan, funded by a campaign. On my way to try to find my first interview, this woman comes along and advises the people not to do an interview with me. Then she proceeds to take photos of me with her phone and then grabs a sign that says troll on it. She then, and I kid you not, followed me around the protest for the entire time I was there. The people she's guarding from an interview are folks calling for violence, holding a sign saying burn a Tesla, save democracy. And so obviously no one can be that dumb for free, so who is this woman? This is her protesting JP Morgan, funded by a campaign called 350 PDX's Defund and Divest team. This is her on Capitol Hill blocking senators. So she travels for her job as a professional protester. And this is her participating in an If Not Now, a progressive Jewish organization supporting Ilhan Omar. Yet this is her on a website for a Lutheran church. Could it be that she's pretending to be Jewish? Yes, just like the people who occupied Trump Tower pretended to be Jewish. If you're wondering who the guy is signaling for help and talking very negatively about my channel in the background, he's another professional protester. Here's him freaking out at Grand Central Station. Here's him calling to vaccinate the world. And here's him supporting I don't even know what. You know the worst part about this guy? He could be teaching your child. That's right. He's a professor of health sciences at Crowe University in New York.
Oh, I have another sign. Let me see that. Yes. I know he's a right-wing troll. No, it's fine. It's fine. Well, he cuts off the cover.
He's loving it.
You're feeding us.
So this woman with an arrow was the one he signaled for help. And why? Because they're teammates. Here's her standing right in front of the college professor at a completely different protest. Here's her at another protest, and another. Trump and Elon have a vicious paid opposition in this country. Over 200 Tesla takedown protests have already happened. That's not natural. And it's not just words either, it's assault. These people are going after Tesla owners.
Wow. Jim Ferguson, man. God bless him. Great reporting right there. Going in deep. So the contrast couldn't be more clear, Patriots. While paid activists were being bussed around with pre-printed signs to protest Trump and Elon, General Motors announced they're expanding vehicle production in Indiana for the first time in 25 years. That's 228,000 new American jobs while the left-wing circus collapses. And where was all that hands-off energy when pro-Hamas agitators illegally shut down Grand Central Station, trapping New Yorkers trying to get home? The selective outrage is deafening. And Charlie Kirk nailed it when he said Gen Z isn't participating in these AstroTurf protests because they know it's a scam. They were told they'd never own homes, that college was the only path to success, all lies pushed by the same machine now funding these pathetic demonstrations. So the real question is, who's pulling the strings behind these coordinated protest operations? And what are they really afraid of? Share your theories in the comments below. And support the real news by going to the link in the description, shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, and grab your Next News Network hat. Wow. Unbelievable, dude. Dude, that last video was solid gold, man. Okay, what have we got here? Oh, this is the big story on coal today with President Trump. Okay. This is great stuff, man. Ladies and gentlemen, American energy dominance is back. Today, in a historic ceremony at the White House, President Trump signed an executive order that ends what he calls Biden's war on beautiful, clean coal once and for all. With coal miners standing behind him, Trump declared that the value of untapped coal in our country is 100 times greater than all of the gold in Fort Knox, and he's unleashing it to make America rich and powerful again. The order slashes regulations targeting the coal industry, expedites leases for mining on federal lands, and streamlines permitting processes that have strangled American energy production. West Virginia coal miner Jeff Crowe didn't hold back. He said prior administrations have done all they could to eliminate the coal industry, but those days are over. It's not just energy policy. This is economic liberation. While President Trump is revitalizing American coal with his executive order, Chuck Norris has discovered how to revitalize something else, your body's natural energy production. Just as Trump told coal miners that they'd have to go through hell to close you down, Chuck has found a way to keep your body's power plants running at peak performance even as you age. At 84, he still has the energy to work out with intensity and keep up with his grandkids. Just as Trump is unlocking America's vast energy reserves with 100 times the goal of Fort Knox, Chuck's method unlocks your body's hidden potential. Discover his energy secret at chuckdefense.com/next before this video disappears. Okay, President Trump given a standing ovation by the hardworking patriots of America's clean coal industry. Check this out. I mean, Joe Biden spit on those people. Kamala Harris spit on those people. Hillary Clinton spit on those people. And Trump is inviting them to the White House to sign an executive order. Let's go. Let's go, baby. Here is the president talking about the historic action taken today.
Joe Biden's war on... Today we're taking historic action to help American workers, miners, families, and consumers. We're ending Joe Biden's war on beautiful, clean coal once and for all. And it wasn't just Biden, it was Obama, and there were others. But we're doing the exact opposite. And all those plants that have been closed are going to be opened. If they're modern enough, or they'll be ripped down and brand new ones will be built. We're going to put the miners back to work, and I said I was going to do this, and I've said it loud and clear, and it's time to do it, and we need it. Today
we're doing it now. Here's a West Virginia coal miner, Jeff Crowe, giving remarks at the White House.
It is an honor and a privilege to be a part of today's events. I believe this past November that America clearly spoke about what we wanted for our country. It is reassuring for Americans to have a president in office who will truly put the United States of America above all else. Thank you. With putting America first, you have spoken numerous times about energy independence. I believe most don't understand the importance of that. Coal is one of the major factors in energy independence and accounts for a large portion of America's energy. Coal is one of the most reliable and cheapest forms of electricity. For too long, coal has been a dirty word that most are afraid to speak about. Most of those that would speak negatively about coal do so from an uneducated standpoint. Many are unaware of the engineering and technology that are used in today's mining to create a clean, energy-efficient product. All of this is done while using the safest practices in the industry. Speaking for West Virginia, coal provides approximately 50,000 jobs for those that work in the mines and the businesses that support them. It also accounts for over 50% of West Virginia's export product. To name a few, we employ engineers, teachers, physical therapists, accountants, truck drivers, high school and college graduates. All of these occupations and graduates have turned to the coal industry to provide a better way of life for them and their families. Everyone in our industry works long hours and days to provide a reliable energy product, and too many times it goes unnoticed. I've personally worked in the industry for 23 years. I choose to do this daily to provide my wife and children with the life that they deserve. Prior administrations have done all they could to eliminate the coal industry. Sorry, one second, I'm getting there. In my opinion, they have done so with an unethical and uneducated approach. But we are still strong, we are still here, and we are still needed in order to make America great again. Having a president and an administration that understands the need and importance of coal is more than appreciated. It gives the industry a form of reassurance to know that we have a president in place that supports us. From my family to the over 3,000 employees of ACNR, and for the coal companies, miners, and businesses throughout our great country that rely on the coal industry, we say thank you for your continued support. I personally thank you for what you do for our country and for our industry. It has been my pleasure to be here today to help you usher in the golden age of America.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Wow, it's hard not to get choked up watching that. Here's the president signing a minor's speech in the East Room.
A couple of good lines. You did a good job. Let me have that speech. I want to have that.
Yes, sir.
I had a couple of good lines in there when I came up. No, actually, what I want to do, I'm going to sign it for you because I think, I mean, he worked hard. Look at it, and look how good his eyes must be to read that.
I lost it once.
And hopefully you can sell it tonight for a lot of money.
No, sir, I'll keep that one.
Wow.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Man, Trump loves the hardworking men and women in America. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm a softie, okay? I get broken up when I see this stuff because I know how much Trump is working to make this country great by bringing those people into the East Room. Here's some more of the president's remarks today.
They get a guarantee that we have a strong business for many years to come, that your coal companies and your miners don't get all excited about their jobs, and then should a radical left liberal become president, they end the business right away, and somebody's built a plant and spent hundreds of millions of dollars in building a plant, and the plant is going to be closed because a Democrat got in or a liberal got in. They're opposed to coal, and Republicans are very much for it. Clean coal. And we're going to give a guarantee that the business will not be terminated by the ups and downs of the world of politics. So should somebody come in to this very important office and say, oh, well, you spent hundreds of millions of dollars and you guys have given up your life because you want to be in coal, and then all of a sudden you don't have a life anymore because it's what you know the best. That's not going to happen. We're going to give a guarantee that it's not going to happen, so that if somebody comes in, they cannot change it at a whim. They cannot just going to go. They're going to have to go through hell to close you up. All right, so that's pretty good. We're going to give that in the form of a guarantee that we're writing on right now structurally and from a legal standpoint. So your investments are going to also be protected.
I've been in that room a couple times during these historic moments, and it is just something to cherish when you can see it all happening. Here's more President Trump in the room, East Room.
$2 billion a day. And for those of you that want to know the tariffs, you've been hearing about tariffs, we're taking in almost $2 billion a day in tariffs. $2 billion a day. And we're doing very well. And we're doing very well in making, I call them tailored deals, not off the rack. These are tailored, highly tailored deals. Right now, Japan is flying here to make a deal. South Korea is flying here to make a deal, and others are flying here. I mean, my only problem is I'm not sure I have enough. We're going to have to use those great law firms, I think, to help us with that. But we're going to probably do that, actually. We're going to use them, and we're getting them for the right price. Because we need a lot of talent. We have a lot of countries coming in that want to make deals. And
President Trump making deals for this country, for you. Here's more from the president talking about the value of the untapped coal in this country.
And the value of untapped coal in our country is 100 times greater than the value of all the gold at Fort Knox. And we're going to unleash it and make America rich and powerful again. Under this order, I'm also directing Secretary Wright to use billions of dollars in federal funding to invest in the next generation of coal technology, which is an amazing technology in terms of getting the full potential of coal and also doing it a very clean, environmental way. Pound for pound, coal is the single most reliable, durable, secure, and powerful form of energy there is on Earth today. It's a big statement. You never hear those statements, you know. You've never heard that before from a politician, have you? Well, maybe from that politician, but not too many. But that's the way it is. I say it again. Pound for pound, coal is the single most reliable, durable, secure, and powerful form of energy. It's cheap, incredibly efficient, high density, and it's almost indestructible. You could drop a bomb on it, and it's going to be there for you to use the next day, which you can't say with any other form of energy. You're virtually indestructible. Most importantly, we have more of it here in America than anywhere else on Earth. We have the value of...
So what we witnessed today was more than an executive order. It was a declaration of energy independence that will reshape America's economic future. Energy Secretary Wright exposed the truth that few in Washington will admit. We'd have cleaner air in the United States if we focused more on a strong coal industry here and got American coal technology to remove pollutants into Asia. Senator Barrasso backed it up, calling Wyoming's coal world-class, clean, low-sulfur coal that has powered our nation for over a century. We need more of it, not less. That's what he insisted. Remember Biden's pledge? No one's going to build another coal plant in America? Well, that fantasy's over. So here's the real question. Why has the global elite been so determined to shut down American energy independence while letting China build a new coal plant every week? What's their real agenda? Share your thoughts below. And show your support for America First by going to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and supporting the Next News Network with your purchase. Wow. Got a little choked up on that. Over coal. Some super chats come through. We're at $150. Wow. Amazing. Stephen Ledoux. Hello. $2. Stephen Ledoux. Is it me you're looking for? Really, man? Again, $5 from Steven. Halo, 3 tea bags all around. Everybody's getting some. It's glorious. What? I don't know that joke. Bruce Pyatt dropping $5. Thank you, Bruce. And more from Steven. This guy's got jokes today. Survival Island lefties versus righties. Who wins? Resto Guy. We are family. We are one. We are many. Thank you. Thank you. Alice Cersei. $9.99. Thank you, Alice. Great Trump story. Cole. Beautiful, guys. Thank you so much. Wow, 7 topics we covered tonight. Yeah, we're playing catch up, as you could tell. But let's check in with what's happening in the main news feed as we check in on what you guys are talking about in the main chat before we close out the show. Divide and conquer. We burned coal at home in the early 60s. Kibbs Ellis says there's coal storage all over Texas. Andy, no. FBI Director Kash Patel has released to Megyn Kelly and Congress over 1,000 pages from the writings of the Nashville person. You can see on the screen. The MNPD Nashville had downplayed and omitted key aspects of Audrey Hale's beliefs in its recently released report into the 2023 events. Wow. Megyn Kelly getting 1,000 pages. 1 minute ago, Mario Nafal posting, when midnight strikes, Trump's 104% China tariff rocks markets, sparking global panic. At precisely 12:01 a.m. Eastern, Trump's massive tariffs kick in, China facing a stunning 104% levy alongside 85 other countries. He's reporting that Wall Street has spiraled as hedge funds abandon risk, investors race to cash. Canada confirmed immediate retaliation with a 25% auto tariff. Europe vowed countermeasures but is open to talks. Billionaire Trump allies Ken Langione and Ken Griffin are outraged. Expect mortgage rates climbing sharply and brace for iPhones potentially hitting $3,500. That's according to CNBC. Woo-hoo, wow. At midnight. Holy cow. It's going to be painful. What is this? Bad hombre.
For you again.
Not again.
Hey, Tammy.
Hey, Tina.
So another article has mistaken me for you again.
Not again. Oh.
I know. It's just like, I'm so tired of this. It's just never stops.
I know.
People are always confusing us. I mean, it seems...
Yeah, that's the pure cringe right there. What's this? From Real America's Voice, breaking news on the J6 probe. Congress obtained evidence that shows the Biden White House was directly involved in starting Jack Smith's investigation on the January 6th probe against President Trump. Lovely.
House was direct. I'll turn to our next guest in a second, but a little breaking news. Senator Johnson, Senator Grassley just sent this to me a little bit ago while we're on air. It's a major development. You're taking a look at a letter right there that was just sent to the FBI Director Kash Patel and the Attorney General Pam Bondi. What does it say? It says that Congress has obtained evidence that shows that the Biden White House was directly involved in trying to help start Jack Smith's investigation on the January 6th probe against President Trump. Specifically, that the White House counsel's office secretly obtained President Trump's and Vice President Mike Pence's former phones and giving them to the prosecutors, basically sicking the Justice Department on his future competitor, his future rival in the 2024 election, so that they could look for dirt for possible crimes. There's a lot more coming in. There's a lot of other evidence as well of the White House involvement. Remember, 2 years ago, we were the first news agency, right here, Real America's Voice, Just the News, to report that a White House counsel was directly involved with this investigation. Now, more details, including getting, imagine this, you're the Democrat president and you go get the old Republican's phone for your prior president and send it to the Justice Department. That's what Senators Johnson and Grassley were able to confirm tonight. It's in that letter. Keep an eye on justthenews.com. We're going to get you up to speed on that all throughout the night. A lot more.
Wow. The hits keep coming, friends. The hits keep coming. Oh, wow. Well, I'm running out of steam here. So, Patriots, it's been quite a show. Day 79 of President Trump's return to the White House, and the America First agenda is firing on all cylinders. So let's take a look at the White House in real time. Yes, it's dark there, but the sun will rise as America continues to be greater every single day, despite what's about to happen with China. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. Now let's recap what we've covered. Trump's MAGA vision has gone into overdrive, with 21 states backing his fiscal framework, calling for income tax abolition, Supreme Court victories stacking up. Even CNN has to admit he's not a lame duck, he's a soaring eagle. We expose how China got hit with a devastating 104% tariff bomb that is already sending global markets scrambling. Over 70 countries are now begging to negotiate with the United States, proving once again that Trump's tough approach works. American manufacturers are expanding, hiring, and finally competing on a level playing field. We uncovered the shocking revelation that the FBI may be actively deleting Epstein-related files, while key witness like Virginia Giuffre mysteriously falls ill after a bus hits her. Matt Gaetz and Representative Luna are demanding answers about the client list that AG Pam Bondi claimed was on her desk weeks ago. Is a cover-up in full swing? We revealed how the surveillance state has turned its eyes inward on American patriots, while the Supreme Court just gave Trump the green light to deport foreign terrorists under the Alien Enemies Act. AG Bondi's message crystal clear. I'd start self-deporting if I were you, because we're going to find you. And DOGE continues to blow the lid off of D.C. corruption, uncovering nearly 4 million Social Security numbers handed to non-citizens with no verification, while also exposing how politicians' families are profiting from government leases. The paper trails leading straight to handcuffs. And we showed you footage of the collapsing hands-off protests where paid operatives were caught on camera being bussed in with pre-printed signs. While this fake outrage machine sputters out, real Americans are celebrating as companies like General Motors expand production in the U.S. for the first time in 25 years. And finally, we witnessed President Trump sign a historic executive order revitalizing America's coal industry, ending the war on American energy, and unlocking resources 100 times more valuable than all of the gold at Fort Knox. Patriots, this kind of raw, unfiltered reporting doesn't come free. We need your support to keep fighting this information war, so please consider making a donation through the links in the description to keep this show going strong. And tell a friend about the Raw Feed. Text them the link to the stream. And a special thank you to everyone who sent in Super Chats and Rumble Rants tonight, $150.96. We appreciate each and every one of you for making your voices heard. Don't forget to check out the merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. If you haven't got a hat yet, I'm not sure what you're waiting for. Get some limited edition Next News swag and show off your favorite news source. This is Gary Franchi for the Raw Feed. We will see you next time as we continue to bring you the stories they don't want you to hear. God bless America, and God bless you all.